Good afternoon, boys, girls, and MBs of all shapes, all sizes, all colors, and all orientations. Welcome, one and all, to the only Alec Gunther stream. I am your host, Alec Gunther. It is so good to be here this afternoon. Welcome. Welcome in, everybody. Hello. How we all doing? What's up? I figured this was a good song to come in on. It also happened to be exactly 1 o'clock, so I'm trying to get more of a schedule going. 1 o'clock on the dot, baby. What's up, Tippy? Can we get pronoun options for site? That's a great question. Let me see if I have that, actually. Good in chat rules, perhaps? Yeah, I think I can just set chat rules, yeah? Aesthetic rules. I don't know how you would get this, like... Here, let me see something. Add role. Here. Add role. Role label. Blue for the boys. There's too much blue already. Let's make it... I can't make it dark blue. We'll make it green? No, there's already kind of a green. You know what? It won't be a color. It won't be a color. I don't think this is how you do it anyway. Special rules, maybe? Oh no, hold on. I'm gonna have to ask Nervosa how to do this. Love your shirt today. Thank you. It's got Santa Claus on it. See? He's surfing. It's pretty wacky if you think about it. Santa Claus surfing on the beach. Because he, you know... lives in the North Pole and all that. Little irony in my life. I'll have to figure out how to do it. I could... It's probably in chat rules if I had to guess, but I just don't know how to do it. Oh, wait. You know what? I think I know. Hold on. He, him. Icon. Okay, well, we won't have any icons yet. Actually, we can just make it like a blue dot. I think that'll be fine. I've still unlocked the start of stream. No, it's fine. This is a good thing. This is good. That's why I started at 1 and scheduled our talk for 1:30. Besides, you're the only one chatting right now, so you kind of deserve my attention, yeah? More than anyone else. Let me just make an announcement since I forgot. We are live. Talking to a former Nazi. And so discussing my debate tactics and what was the last one? Oh yeah.
Wealth, fame, power.
Imagine playing Brawl for a challenge when Link and Luigi in 64 exist on Fightcade.
1 sec, Sake. Okay, there we go. Okay. Imagine playing Brawl for a challenge when Link and Luigi in 64 exist on Fightcade. Okay, but like... I like Smash Bros. Ultimate. I like Ultimate. I feel like 64... I could be wrong on this, but I feel like there's like 2 viable characters in 64, and one of them is Fox and the other is Link. I guess Luigi's also viable, but they're all busted. Like it's not. It takes skill. There's an art to it. I respect the grift, but also like, I don't know. It seems glitchy. Link is Terabad. Okay, never mind then. Link and Luigi and Fox then. Best is Pikachu, really? Interesting. Okay, we were in the middle of something. I need to get icons. So for boys, actually here. Do this. Get a PNG. Here, hold on. I like that one. I like the blank ones, like the simple ones. Fine. I don't know why it does that. Okay, and then we'll make a purple one for NB and other. This will be boys. This one's for the boys because it's blue. Oh, do I gotta make it smaller? God damn it. I think I gotta make it smaller. Fine. Kirby up tilt is 4 times bigger than his body, really? Combos into itself? Damn. Pikachu up B has 20 frames of full invincibility, Jesus. Luna needs coffee. Please insert coffee into my mouth directly. I would if I could. Okay, image size. Just make it... What's 512 divided by 2 would be... I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll just make it 100. Okay. Got that. Okay. This should work. The blue circle. Nope, still nothing. What fucking size does the icon have to be, man? What the fuck? $100 should definitely be small enough. It's not working. Oh, wait. Hold on. I know what I did. Will this work? No. I'm stupid. Nope, still didn't work. Okay, well, there's the pink one at least. Be her. We're just gonna do he, him, she, her, and they, them for right now. I'll add some more off stream. No username color. Okay. I don't know why the blue dot's not working. Oh, maybe it's because... Okay, I know what it is. It's because of the file name. There it is. Eventually none/name. Maybe. Okay. Now, as for how to add these, I'm not sure. Maybe I can add a command somehow. But for right now, I'll just assign them as... I'll just assign them for right now myself. I am Luna. If you're confused, I'm insane, so I talk in the third person a lot. Oh, I gotcha. I think I... Yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, I've seen you on YouTube. What's up, Luna? Okay, so Luna will give you she, her... Okay. That's a big dot. I think it's fine. Usually in your comments. Ah, nice. Oh no, that's kind of a big dot. I want to make it smaller. Unless you like it. What do you think? Since you're the one who brought this up, what do you think of that? Cat with the John Lennon sunglasses? I think I remember. You've been around for a while. It's fine for now. We'll touch it up later. Make it 20 times bigger. That's a good idea. Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay. That didn't work yet. There we go. Let me see if I can add... Wasn't in the chat bot. Camera's kind of... Sorry, guys. Thoughts of me. Okay. Okay, I think that's fine. My bad. A little high. Ah! The entertainment that you came here for, folks. This is the entertainment you came here for. Okay. That's good. We're leaving it there. That's good. There's my song, baby. It's a good song. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Sorry for all the maintenance stuff. You're gonna love this. I gotta pee. I should have gone before, but I did not. So I will be right back. Enjoy the music. Okay, I'm back. Calliope Rave, welcome. Welcome in. Thank you for the shout out, Queen Laura. Appreciate that. Shout out that website, baby. You can listen to this while I finish up my 100% Spyro Year of the Dragon. Nice, nice, nice. I'm thinking about getting into another video game. Right now I'm getting... Actually, I'm playing Pikmin 4 right now. It's really fun. Pikmin 4 is great. If you haven't tried Pikmin 4 yet and you love like time management games, it's really good. Highly recommend. What's your main? I like King K. Rool. Actually, I just got over 10 million points on the online thing. Have you played Tropical Freeze? I have not. But I would like to. I have not played Return of the Obra Dinn, no. Time management is the only reason I couldn't get into Pikmin, unfortunately. I mean, you can play it casually, and also if you want a casual Pikmin experience, Pikmin 2 is the way to go. Pikmin 2 is awesome, if you just want, like, casual play. So, that might be an option for you. Alright, I'm gonna see where this guy's at and see if he's ready to get started. Oh. Oh yeah, before we get started with the talk, I guess I'll give you guys a little life update. So, recovery is going really well. You can still see the red parts on my eyes. Don't worry, I'm fine. It's just from LASIK. But yeah, it'll recover soon. Like completely, I mean. My vision's perfect though. My vision's perfect now. Which is awesome. Don't need no more glasses, no more contacts. You guys can say goodbye to Alec with glasses. He's done. He has left the building. Alec without glasses is here to stay. How's having normal vision going? It's so cool, dude. I fucking love it. My eyes aren't completely 100% yet. So, like, I still get, like, light bloom, you know, in my vision. But other than that, like, even if my vision never improves from here, I would still take this 100 times up out of 100 over glasses or contacts. It's so nice. All the icons will need to be changed. That's not true. I'm pretty sure my emotes, most of them don't have me with glasses. The icons, yes. Like the... Yeah, see, look. Like, these emotes... They don't have glasses. Only one of them does, and that's the one that makes sense to have glasses. It's Peppo G. Gunter noted. Which, funny enough, a lot of people really like that one. But no more glasses. How much did it cost? No. It's fine. It was about 3,800 bucks. Insurance did not pay for any of it. Do you agree with the sign that streaming is more soul draining than working a normal job? What? What? Why would he say that? What a dipshit. What? Soul draining? What is he talking about? This is where my soul comes to flourish. Are you kidding me? This revives my soul. This juvenates me. If streaming does not juvenate you, you're in the wrong profession. If he finds it soul draining, why doesn't he just fucking quit? Go on, quit, Hassan. Alright? Like, what is he talking about? Man made a fortune off his audience. One sec. Not that that's what this is about. But it's adding insult to injury to all the people who gave him money because he's doing what he loves and also covering important topics. Or at least he used to. I'm not happy with Hassan lately. But since I know I probably have Hasanabi heads in my audience, I won't get into it. At least not right now. Alright, we gotta get started with this call, guys. Hassan's a poor dude. I'm already worth more than he ever will be. That's a good point. Solid point. Alright. Who's ready for some Risky Rain while we talk to people? My go-to game. I need a new go-to game. Risky Rain is getting very stale. And also, I cannot beat the game with Bandit. I can't do it. Like, I've tried so many times and I just cannot do it. The character is garbage. But I'm gonna keep trying. Hassan seems to be trying his damnedest to become less and less relatable. It's so weird. It's bizarre. Like, I just don't like it. Alec has been blessed by the golden orbs of Sake Tanuki. That's true. I don't know. He's spiraling. He does seem to be spiraling. He says it's exhausting being on all the time in front of a camera, and it's because it's public facing, but it is a bad look. Well, then get off the camera. You don't have to stream for 8 hours a day, man. That's a choice that you make. If it's so exhausting, find something that's not as exhausting. Your audience feeds on that energy, man. Like, when I'm tired, I end, okay? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes there's important stuff to cover, and sometimes I want to keep going despite being tired. But the point is, I want to keep going. So even if I am tired, it's like, okay, I am fighting the tired in order to keep going. I'm not Like, because I want to. I'm not fighting because I don't want to. He has plenty of retirement money. Anyway, that's not what we're about to be talking about. So let's switch topics. So this guy, here, let me start recording and then we'll get started. All right. So this guy showed up in my, I want to say my Discord, and he said that he would like to talk to me because he is a former Nazi, apparently. If I recall correctly, I could be wrong on that, but I do remember that he is a former fascist, if nothing else. And being somebody who is close to a former fascist myself, I used to have fascist-leaning tendencies. I wanted to bring somebody on who was a little bit more ingrained in fascism. Like this guy was proper bad, okay? But now he's not. So I would like to get some insight into what's going on in his head and you know, how he how he came to the conclusions that he did both back then and now. I just think it'll be a very interesting discussion. So let me open up my game and we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, hello.
Hey, Alec, am I coming in clear?
Yes, you are. Chat, just let me know and if anything is going on with either of our mics, okay? Alrighty, so Joe, what is it? J Romang?
Dromang was just sort of like a conglomerate username that I mashed my own first, middle, and last name together.
Ah, very nice. Well, I mashed my first and middle name together for Alec Gunter, so there you go. All right, well, how are you doing today, Jeromang?
Oh, it's a good day. The fridge in the garage went out, so we have to get a new one, and I sprayed some weeds. And sorry for any background noise for the audience. I live with my girlfriend, and we have a cat, so.
Oh, no, I think you're fine. I might have a little background noise, too, so it's no biggie. I think that I'm a lot quieter than you right now, so let me go ahead and turn you down just a smidge. All right, and that should be good. All right, so we're here to talk about you and your life. So would you like to go ahead and get the conversation started?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I can
first,
start anywhere.
before we start, can you say your name again and then give us your preferred pronouns, and then just go ahead and tell us why you're here.
You can call me Roman and he, him.
Perfect. And then can you tell us a little bit about what brings you here today?
Well, I suppose like the main impetus was I think it was February of 2020. I got like SWAT raided by the FBI at like 4 in the morning.
Oh,
You know, that's when like the whole world basically collapsed, but there was
please.
things that led up to that. So I can kind of start there.
No,
Um
please do. It sounds interesting.
so this kind of just starts. I'm not going to get all sobby life story on you or anything, but
Yeah,
I
get as
think
sobby as you
just
want.
how most people are is when you're a teenager, you're looking for like a group, friends, place of acceptance, and when you come, some people might know this, but when you come from like a divorced, parental, can't really say household because they're divorced, but when you're going around back and forth and the two parents don't get along,
Mhm.
you're doing a lot of moving, you're doing a lot of back and forth, you can't really have any kind of like permanence. So, I mean, I wonder if that contributed to it.
Okay, so
Um,
so your parents got divorced, and you're thinking that the isolation from one or the other or both, and like constantly just flip flopping back and forth, it kind of left you needing like a more solid community. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. Yeah, and I lived with my mother most of the time, so I mean, originally things started out what am I, about 13, 14, I basically get into like
Hmm.
whatever. My mom kind of cued me in on things because I mean, I used to be, YouTube atheist back when, you had Paul's Ego and Amazing Atheist and stuff like that. So I got hard into that
Right.
after I got my first computer in like 2012.
We love that. Nice.
Um,
Were you on
um,
Reddit on r/atheism?
I never did any kind of socializing. No, it was just YouTube videos, maybe some YouTube commenting,
Oh
but mostly I
no,
was
you
just
didn't even have
listening.
like a community that you were talking to.
No, not really. Like, I mean, granted, I went to public school at up to about seventh, eighth grade. I think I did seventh grade twice because the schools just couldn't get their shit together.
Oh boy.
Um, and then my mom had pulled me out because she had become convinced of, like, well, granted, this public school was graded like 2 out of 10 on like a state board
Yeah.
that I was going to. So she pulled us out. I had a couple of other siblings, but that's not relevant.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I finally got into a fight with some of these bullies I had, and it was completely just unrelated to any of this. I hadn't even been political. The most I'd been listening to up to this point was like atheist stuff, Stefan Molyneux, and then like spirit science actually kind of reared its head around the corner around that time. So we're not
Interesting.
even remotely political yet. I'm just a teenager listening to interesting things. Um,
Okay, so this is
I
a
think,
good background setup. Very good.
yeah, sorry, I don't want to take too long
No,
on
no,
it.
no, please.
So I think basically from like 15, 16, all the way to, I think the fascism really came in probably about 18 or 19. So
Okay.
before that, it was like, well, this is debatable, obviously, because fascism is sort of a spectral term, but I can see how it applies to multiple things now. But
Sure.
before that, it was just sort of like loose conservative American value and cap. Um, but some like obviously socially liberal. You didn't really care about things, but then after being in the libertarian space for quite a while, people did start to care about the cultural stuff, about the social stuff. And that was like one of the first divides was like 2014, 2015, especially with Donald Trump's run, there was big splits in the libertarians. The ones who kind of would more so end up on like the anarcho-socialist side of things, I guess, and then those who became libertarian conservatives. And since all the people that I had talked to on Facebook by this time, had conglomerated in sort of these libertarian echo chambers, I just kind of followed them into libertarian conservatism.
Yeah,
And
that's how it goes.
that's just all I know at that point. I can't I actually have I remember like sensations of like never really wanting to discuss or look at any kind of evidences in regards to like Marxism or communism or something like that because I was just like, well, it's got to be wrong. I don't need to listen to it. Like a
Yep.
complete blanket denial of anything it might have to say because you've already been sort of ideologically cued into like, oh, this is bad.
Yep.
You can't go there. That's
Yep.
heresy.
I was very similar when I was growing up. Like, it's just like one of those things that like you just take for granted that it's bad, and so you just never bother looking into it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I mean, it was like that. And then I think I must have been maybe 16, 17. I'm just doing the whole LibCon thing for a while. No big deal. You're just talking about people. It was mostly economic stuff, really. Like it was just guys bitching about Federal Reserves or jobs this, corporate this, policies that. And I
Hmm.
couldn't really get into it. I wasn't that smart. I think I'm attracted to rhetoric. And if rhetoric appeals to me and I think it's kind of at the king of the hill, then I kind of try to side with it.
So when you say
Uh,
you're attracted to rhetoric, can you go in depth a little bit more about that?
I guess rhetoric that's you can eloquently exposit a certain point or a string of points, and you have like some like latent evidence for it. So this is the segue of the libcons getting converted into like some guys called it libertarian fascism, which is just strange. And then guys were kind of just moving into regular conservatism, being more edgy about the culture war because of stuff, whether it's like Trayvon Martin or what was his name, Eric, the big fellow who was choked out by that
Oh,
cop in I think
Derek
New York.
Chauvin was the cop, but I
Oh
think
no, that's George Floyd. That's much later. I'm talking. I think Eric Garner.
okay.
Eric Garner, remember that?
Oh, that does
Um,
ring a bell. That does ring a bell. I see. I know what you're talking
so in terms of names, are you familiar? Is anyone familiar with Christopher Cantwell? Because he was orchestral in my segueing into like nationalism, and then that nationalism was further defined by basically having parallel rhetoric with everything I had already agreed with, but instead you were just, in my world, you were just expounding more on race and IQ and immigration. Basically, you're
about.
opening up the networks to be able to accept something like great replacement ideology.
Right. IQ is a very common entry point because you can find IQ tests anywhere, and that's a very easy, like, oh, wow, my IQ is high. Therefore, the people with low IQs must be inferior somehow. Like, that's super easy to get into.
Yeah, it's easy to guys to pull up stats like, oh, look at the 70, 80 IQ, look at the bell curve, look at this, look at that. Um, and people are already just through the Facebook chats, you're already the groups, you're kind of already susceptible to like someone posts a news story and they give you like the alternative contraire to that. And since he's your
Um,
friend, you accept that.
somebody said uh, Cantwell was at Unite the Right Charlottesville. So, yeah, that checks out.
Well, I remember him. So he started out with the libertarians as well. Um, Dude's, if you look
Mhm.
up the dude now, I mean, good luck finding him. I think he's somewhere on Twitter these days, or at least that's where the stuff's posted. That's a whole sordid history. I actually used to live stream years ago, back when I was as radical as I was,
Mhm.
and we would actually just shit talk what he was doing, and it was a whole thing.
Nice.
But back then, he was the big, he's got the Gadsden flag in his studio, and he's the guy who's coming and saying, oh, I've been talking to TRS and Mike Enoch, these sort of guys. And this was when like the alt right basically exploded, and that's what led to
Mm,
Charlottesville. Like everybody, I wasn't in it. I actually knew people who did go to Unite the Right and all of that,
mhm.
but it was a little. I was a little too late for it. Like by the time I had even gotten into things, that was like already happening.
Oh, I just missed it.
Um,
Oh, I just missed it. Damn it. Well, probably a good thing.
well, no, I didn't. I couldn't have gone. I mean, what am I? 17. I'm
Oh,
working
right,
at
right.
fucking Denny's or something. I don't
Fair point.
remember.
Well, I mean, so was Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah?
Shit.
Yep. But anyway,
Well,
continue.
it's just like this is important though because at this point you have like a double life going on, and I had basically like cultivated this. I hid a double life from all my family for at least 4 or 5 years
That's
while all
crazy.
this is going on.
So
Because you're
that's
talking this way over here,
yeah, it's kind of how they
but you're still
isolate
trying
you.
to, yeah. And no one tried to, or at least I think a driving force for a lot of these guys is they didn't feel like their opinions were accepted or they were acceptable,
Right.
or if they would try to talk about these things like, oh, poor me, and so you
And
do kind of
yeah, and
you
if I
incidentally isolate yourself.
yeah, of course. And if I may, like that's kind of how that works, right? Is that like these ideologies often, it's not one person driving this. It can be, certainly, but it's usually just like a machine. It's just a machine that runs, and the whole purpose of the machine is to isolate you. It's not any single person's fault. It's just like people who got the machine running, and now it's running, and it's just isolating people on its own. Like that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, well, and this is how it's been. I mean, if you know somebody like James Mason, who wrote like basically the National Socialist Revolutionary Terrorist Handbook, Siege, which is actually an incredibly rare book if you get your hands on it. He came
Hmm.
from, he was 16 years old, or I think 14, and he ran away from home and joined the American Nazi Party, George Lincoln
Jeez.
Rockwell. So this whole isolative, antisocial thing where you think you're right, you think you're like the underhand underdog good guy, and you're the only one who sees things, and you got to join up with other only the only other people who see things.
Yeah, the only other
It's
ones.
it's a wild it's just a wild network the way that works.
Yep.
And that was basically how it was for um all the years up to. So I was born in '99, so it's easy for me to keep track of the years. So if it's
Mm.
I was arrested in 2020. It was right before I turned 21. So yeah, all the way from like 17 all the way to 20. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was I was talking with these guys, and eventually I left sort of the libcon turned white nationalist alt right pipeline stuff behind. Um, and I fully went in with a new crowd who was, they were entertaining. They were people you could talk to sort of after dark. I mean, these are like your game buddies. These are like your, jump on the party, talk late at night kind of people.
The Xbox Live
Uh,
crowd. I hear
yeah,
you.
I guess so.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't even meet them on games or anything, but it just had that vibe to it, and
They said lots of
it was
slurs, didn't
fun
they?
to. That was the culture. Those were the
Yep.
jokes. That was what you did. That was how you were cool. That was the in group, and
Yep.
the more things you could do to contribute to that, sort of the more rep you had, and the further along you were, and that's what led me to, I think. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty steep National Socialism. I was friends with everybody from, these names aren't going to make any sense to anyone unless they were there for it. Goy Talk Live, Gas Station. These were all things. These were channels that were live streaming on YouTube at some point until they just
Gotcha.
couldn't do it anymore, using spoof channels and whatnot. Then they moved to Stream Me, and then after that, I don't know where it went. I assume it just imploded at around the time that I did. Um, I mean, these were people mixed up with. I actually met Pat Little in real life. If anyone doesn't know who Pat Little was, um, Emily Eucas, what's his face, Paul Nealon. This whole white nationalist thing was turning into this network, and you had Daily Stormer guys kind of coming in. You had Bull Patrol people. Bull Patrol was basically like this,
Hmm.
4 or 5 guys tag along together under the inspiration of Dylan Roof. They used Dylan Roof as kind of like a idol.
I thought that was a
That you
children's
kind of
cartoon. No, didn't land. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, I was just
well,
making sure
that
it landed.
it was a little off.
Yeah, a little
No,
off.
it's a stupid name though. But I was talking. I
They're always
basically was
stupid
talking
names.
to more and more extreme people
Okay, gotcha.
because I'm following this to its logical conclusion, which is basically to become like this isolated Jack Reacher guerrilla warfare Natsock
Okay,
person.
gotcha. Yeah.
And that wasn't very successful. It wasn't successful in life. Just personally, things are falling apart. Familially, things are falling apart. Things are getting, everyone's isolating from each other. Things are kind of crazy. So you have all of this just miserable free time. So I'm just all up in it. At one point I had like a black sun flag in my room.
Oh, jeez.
I knew a friend who bought somebody auctioned off a pair of socks that were Adolf Hitler's from like an old hotel in Europe. And like
What?
he had those.
What a fucking... I'm sorry, you were such a nerd, dude. That is some nerdy shit.
Thankfully, I mean, I thought they were cool at the time. It was pretty gnarly. I mean, they had AH like stitched into it, and they were kind of fancy dress socks.
I'm sorry, it's just so nerdy. Just...
That's what it was. It was people who were like, I guess it's a cult, but without a certain figurehead. It's a cult in the sense that everyone is so lovingly devoted to it. They feel like it's the absolute gospel truth.
Yep.
And you talk to as many receptive people as you can about it. Your salesman tactic is usually race and IQ.
Yep.
And
Well,
then eventually
IQ's a
they
big
end up
one.
where you are, where
Yep.
you're fucking miserable, like I was. And it
Well,
was coming to it was. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, please finish.
It was just coming to a point. Life was just. I didn't really feel like working or going to college or anything. I just thought I was
Ah.
gonna run off on some land or something with like a handful of these guys, maybe.
And start a
But it was just,
commune. You were gonna start a
yeah,
commune, a
it's
little Nazi commune.
like
That's adorable.
like Elohim City or some shit like that. Waco.
I'm sorry. It's very ironic, starting a commune of Nazis. But anyway, um, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out, like, I was never full fash like you, but I did get into. Have you ever heard of r/fat people hate?
No.
No. Do you know anything about like the fat people hate, like fitness thing on 4chan? Anything at all?
I can picture it. I think I
Yeah,
might have.
yeah. Just imagine fascism against fat people. I mean, fascists already
Yeah.
usually do it, but fat people hate was a very specific brand. So, like, I guess you could say I was fascist against specifically fat people. And like, I'm not proud of it. Like, I literally would like, on one occasion, I took a picture of somebody at my fucking college and posted it on there, and like, people just started shitting on her. And thankfully, it never came back to her in real life. I don't think she even knows that it happened. But like, shit like that is just like, it's just gross what these people do, man. And I was one of them. And I also want to point out, Valhalla Vigia in the chat said that you guys' stories are very similar, even though you're like continents apart. And that is true. Like, fascism, quite ironically, is, in the words of Vosh, multicultural. It like, might be the single most multicultural ideology on the face of the planet. Like, it just springs up everywhere, and for some reason, it always has very similar traits when it does. And so that's why, like, we're all susceptible to it, guys. Even me, at this point in my life, I am susceptible to falling back into fascism. And so, if I think for 1 second that I'm not, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fall back in, or at least I'm putting myself at risk of it. So always be vigilant, and that's why we're having this talk today, is just to kind of figure out how you fall into that. And it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, it's mostly just isolationism, a feeling of hopelessness, not having a direction in your life. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, those are all parts of it. But as I've been learning the past couple, maybe year or so, especially the past couple of months, been getting into a lot of like mystical discussion, psychological stuff for sure, and it has to do with, I would say, it's ideological possession by vehicle of like egoic false identification, because you're not being you, you're finding identity with a particular ideology's goalpost, and you're saying like, oh well, when we finally have this white new world order sort of thing going on, that's when I'll finally, things are going to be great and I'm going to get my shit
Absolutely.
together.
Absolutely. Yeah, what's holding you back is like the immigration, right? That's what's keeping you from, getting a good job. It's not the fact that you haven't put in an application in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, and it's ironic now because my fiance is Guatemalan.
Oh, wow. Well,
Funny how
congratulations.
that worked out. Yeah.
Congratulations. Seriously, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. And that's another thing, is like, if you had still been a fascist, you would have never met her, probably, and maybe even if you had, I'm pretty sure that probably wouldn't have worked out, Like, fascists are
Yeah, and
artificially limiting themselves in that regard.
well, definitely, it's because you're looking at reality and you're covering up one eye, and then you're spraying Windex in your other eye. It's
Wow.
you don't consider people. So me, the actual real life treating people racist or fascist in any kind of way never really took hold. Like, I might have thought things that I was like, well, my ideology says this, so I wonder how I'm supposed to splice that.
Yep.
But when I worked, it never really came out. I would like to try to talk about the ideas in a way to where maybe I was like, well, if the world's supposed to be everybody kind of goes back to their starting geographical ethnic point and works it out over there, and everybody leaves each other alone, therefore minimizing conflict. Like, that was the philosophy there. It
Right.
was like this
And on the
social philosophy
surface,
of,
that makes sense to a lot of
right.
people.
But it's how do you make that happen is the problem.
Yep.
Like, why would you want to do that?
Well, yeah, and that's just not how humanity is. We always
No, it's
intermingle.
not.
We always, and we should, diversity and intermingling is good. That's how evolution works. That's biology. Like if you want to even take it from a biological perspective, fascists always try this biology thing where they're like, the skull size is the shapes, they're not as developed, and these people do this thing differently, and it's like that's not even true. Like even we have our differences certainly, even like interculturally and interracially, but that's all good. Evolution is all about diversity, because the more diversity you have, the stronger you are. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So if you're all weak links, well, that kind of sucks, doesn't it? Like even just a strictly biological point of view, it doesn't make any, like, fascism makes no sense to me.
Yeah. And this was a big split actually among fascists. I mean, there were those guys who were just like, well, this stuff seems to make sense to me. I would like to see it come about, the right way. And then you had the guys who are like, oh, we're sick of this shit. We're going to go protest and march. And then there were the other guys who were like, fuck all that marching and policy shit. We need to just fucking cause chaos and hopefully everything will collapse and then we can make something out of it. And
Oh, for
that's where I
sure.
essentially ended up. And that's Adam Waffen Division and Führerkrieg and fucking the Azov, which is something actually based in Ukraine.
Yeah,
Because
the
before the
Azov
war
Battalion.
happened, yeah,
Yep.
before the war happened in Ukraine, I was like, I wonder if it has something. Because I didn't know any details about it at the time when it started. I was like, I wonder if it has anything to do with that. But,
Okay.
um, well, because I don't know all those internal politics, but I was
Right.
like, apparently there's a military over there that willingly trains people under Nazi ideology. So I just didn't know if that was
Right.
like a player.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that's where that comes in. So I think I found their website. Um, or no, I was in like a Telegram. I was in a bunch of Telegram groups. Beware of Telegram, folks. Um,
Oh.
and I think I was going back and forth. I was in all of like some of the inner circles because I made friends with like just about everybody of all the
Hmm.
different stripes of white nationalist and Wignat and
Nice.
revolutionary, all that. I mean, a couple Nazbols rolling around.
Everybody's
Um,
here.
and so I found the link to like the Adam Waffen website, which is basically like their fucking statement. And it had a contact form, and I was like, the big debate at the time was like, who's gonna do anything about anything? Everybody's just sitting on their ass bitching.
Oh,
Like
that's how
that.
you get
That's basically
shooters.
the yeah. Basically, I mean, and the thing with Bowl Patrol is like Dylan Roof or what happened in Poway, El Paso, Christchurch. Like I remember watching the live stream Christchurch thing is like 50 minutes of some dude um unaliving innocent people. And I
Jesus.
was supposed to be cool with that. But I remember watching it and I just like my heart sank. And it was
Mm.
like cognitive dissonance to a maximal level.
Well, that's good. You maintained some of your humanity through all that.
Well, it just feel like it never took full like I was able to maybe play, full cheerleader on one part, but ultimately inside I was just like I guess I couldn't help but think like maybe this isn't everything. And it was when I was starting to have doubts um, is when I kind of just got overridden and I decided to contact Adam Waffen. I got a link into a wire encrypted chat, which I mean the FBI was already in anyway,
Oh,
which is how
jeez.
everything got shit on. Um, and the whole idea was, hey, we're gonna have these posters, we're gonna send them to you. Well, first they wanted me to like prove myself, so I had to put a couple of the whatever printouts they gave me, I had to put those up like in my local area and take pictures of it for proof. So I mean, I just kind of put them on whatever light posts that were nearest. Kind of
Hmm.
stupid, really cringe. I'll say that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then maybe like a month or so after that, I can't really remember because I think I remember starting to talk to them in like November of 19. And then it fell over into January 2020 is when um I went up to this uh they said like okay we need to pick journalists who essentially represent our ideological racial revolutionary opponents. So
Right, the public
I just
face.
basically the first black journalist and the first I thought Jewish journalist I could find. Actually, the people I ended up putting the poster on their house, they weren't even Jewish. They
Oh,
just
geez.
helped run a Jewish newsletter. Um,
So what
and
was the
then I
poster
could not
again?
find the it's in the links I sent you. They're basically just these custom made little things where it's like at the bottom it says like you're visited by your local Nazis, and then the top of it, it's got like a a foreboding picture.
Right. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, like that.
Yep. Yep. I'm
Stuff
pulling them
like
up.
that. Actions have consequences, and it was supposed to kind of propel this because the whole idea of the op from the two guys who I think were the leaders heading the whole thing were like, um, we're trying to stir the pot, like get everyone to kind of be afraid of Adam Waffen again, kind of thing.
Well, that's
And they actually
horrifying.
had, I
So,
just, to me, I just thought that like, oh, this is the hardest thing I can do. So I'm gonna just do this and then, hit back up with my groups and spread it around and see what everybody thinks. But after I did it, and even during doing it, man, my stomach was turning. I was like,
mm,
actually doing a real crime when I'd never been in trouble in my entire life, and I decided to do this.
first for everything, I guess.
It's just wild, man. Like it doesn't seem like much, but it's like a mental toll that it all takes.
Oh, I'm
Because
sure.
you're degrading, like you said, retaining humanity. Like you're degrading your own capacities to have like mercy and compassion and rule omega understanding, giving people the benefit of the doubt, all this stuff that like defines love and human social interaction. And you're just like, nah, I need to do this, get out of my way, person, you're nothing, you
Yep.
know.
Yep, you completely shatter your ability to empathize with people, to have like like normal relationships. You just shatter it. Like everybody that you have a relationship with, it's just fake. Like it's all based on clout and how much you can be the most hateful person, you know? And we see this sometimes in leftist spaces too with the purity testing, sure. But especially in right-wing circles, like it's just so toxic. I still remember like on Fat People Hate, it's the best reference that I have, and I know it's nothing compared to what you're describing, but you know, like we were like constantly judging each other too. You know, we were purity testing. We were like, well, you know, like I was talking to people about how I was like 200 pounds or something, and they were like, are you fat? What? Is this guy fat? I literally sent in pictures to get verified as not fat. Like it's just
See, that's
pathetic,
like that's some shit we would have done,
right?
but in some other kind of way where it was like people wanted to confirm other people's like racial makeup or identity, like get a good look at them. Because we
Exactly.
did have like a Peruvian and like a black guy. Charlie Delta was like a Marcus Garvey self-fashioned kind of a black fascist guy,
Yeah.
which was that's another interesting thing to go down.
Oh yeah, no kidding. But anyway, I'm interested in this FBI raid, so let's get to it.
Yeah. So it's after that, I get back home and, I'm actually more reticent. Like I'm ready to kind of shed all this stuff. Like I looked at the books I had. I had my little copy of Mein Kampf that I only read maybe like half of.
Oh no, that you read
Um,
while shaking your head on the bus. Everyone knows that you're not actually like, even though you are.
and this is what I love about something like American History X is like a perfect figurative illustration of like what I really went through. And I have like a new appreciation for that movie because I remember going to this like little right wing party, and it was at the time where it was like mostly right wing stuff, but you were like friendly toward white nationalism, but you just didn't really talk about it that much.
Mhm.
And the guys put on American History X, and we're talking about Stacy Keach and all the fucking Nazis in the movie. Like, oh hell yeah, they were right about all that stuff. But now it's like I watch it and I'm like, no, Derek really is the hero, and I don't need to deny these important parts of reality and
That's
perceptive
good.
conscious experience. And you know but in the case of the raid, I mean, that's when I think the biggest trauma of that was like, for one, I was really coming out of that stuff. I wasn't talking to the people anymore.
Mhm.
But just a month after I decided to put the poster up, um, the FBI came in and my family is just freaked out,
Oh
shocked.
no.
Um, dealing with that
FBI, open
was
up.
well, it was crazy
Sorry.
because they didn't like knock on the door or anything. It was like they had like four SWAT trucks outside, dudes in straight up like National Guard, full get up. Um, I didn't even
Mhm.
see the Pinell County sheriffs like where I lived. It was just this was a whole other deal. Um,
That's scary.
fucking, and they had a bullhorn and they were telling us to come out.
That is scary. The only time the FBI's ever shown up to my house, which I know even once, is like, wow. But that was when I was a kid and they were investigating this guy that we were involved with in modeling. But even then, like, that's scary. Just like having the FBI there at all, no matter what the reason is horrifying. But you know they're there for you. So I can't imagine. I cannot fathom. And on top of that, none of your family knew, did they? None of them knew what you were up to.
No.
Oh my god. Anyway, continue, please.
Yeah, I've I've contemplated and shed my tears about that moment already, so it's not hard for me to try to recount. I don't like to relive the memory, but I
Oh,
can
please, by all means,
I can
you
talk
don't
about
have
it.
to share. You don't have to share anything that you're uncomfortable sharing. And I know that I've been joking about it, and I apologize, but I do want to make sure that you're comfortable. So, if at any point I'm being too much, you can let me know.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay.
So there was the arrest, and dude, I had just went. I hung out with my manager buddy at the time, because I used to work at the Taco Bell down the road,
Hmm.
and I smoked with him at like maybe like 1 in the morning, and I walked back home, and I wasn't maybe high off my ass. I wasn't even asleep for like 2 hours before I got woken up by that. So just the feeling in my head was unpleasant. I was just wearing shorts and man, it was cold. So like my knees are like uncontrollably shaking while we're standing outside and
Nice.
they zip tie my little brother.
Oh
They
God.
they but I mean my mom, my older brother and my little brother were the only ones there and they were like, very compliant. They were just I'm sure they were just afraid. Motherfuckers we had like a bunch of cats at the time and they were good cats. Um
Hmm.
and I think just one dog. All the dogs died, but we had one dog, and they took us all out of the house, but they still decided to throw a fucking concussive grenade and fucking possibly harm our animals. I just never found out about that until
And
later.
you said the dogs died, so they didn't die in the raid, did they?
No, 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 no. Just old age and sickness
Okay,
later
that's what
on.
I thought. Okay.
Because I was just figuring out. I'm trying to remember because we only had the one dog, and then we had like five cats,
Gotcha. Okay, just making sure.
and they fucking threw a flash in there. That was
Man.
fucked up. But like they just took all the stuff out of my room and that was really it. I didn't want anyone else to get any flack. So I was just trying to take full responsibility. I was like, "Don't worry, I was already on my way out of this." Honestly just a little out of it, kind of just tearfully admitting to the FBI in their little truck like,
Oh, I
you
believe it.
know, just like that's what I did and I don't know anyone who was really involved personally. I just kind of was like slapped in last last rung of the ladder at the very end of when they were going to jump off with this little conspiratorial plot. Like I don't really know anything else about it. You have to talk to like the higher ups about that. Um,
Man.
but it was wild, and then processing my folks having the need to like deny the media. Thankfully they didn't really like talk to any of the media because that would have just been they don't even like them. So no. I
Oh,
remember
okay.
liking my dad at the time because I think like ABC came up to my dad and he was like, "Nah." He
Good.
shut him down like negative, like nope. And
Good.
so my family was very loving and supportive and loyal to me, um, even after what I did. Now I think there might
Wow.
still be a little bit of like latent resentment, kind of hidden. Well, at least particularly with my dad. Maybe my siblings, I'm not sure, but it was already a hard time for our family at that time. There was a
Oh
bunch of
yeah,
things going on, and then that right on top of it, just it completely. Everybody was just recoiling, but I
never a good
think
time for an FBI raid.
no. I
Nope,
mean, damn.
always be a bad time.
At least, I mean, I'm just glad they didn't have to break the door down and point guns at us. It was just like, come on out, and we came out. They
That
had
is nice
guns,
at
they had
least.
big old armored trucks, but they didn't need to pull any more shit.
I am glad they at least
So yeah,
exercised that amount of restraint. Um, but man, that is one wild story. So, I guess as far as like, you were basically in a cult, yeah? So like when that happened, when that all went down, like did you have people chasing after you? Did you have people trying to like kill you? Like what was that all about?
I thought about that at one point. I wasn't sure. I actually before like a month before the raid happened, I remember, excuse me, talking to the telling the Atomwaffen guys in that group chat, like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm gonna lay low, blah 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 blah. I was trying to like nicely distance myself,
Right.
because I didn't want them thinking like I was disloyal or some kind of plant or some shit,
Yep.
and try to find a way to come after me because these are the kind of people that do. These are the kind of people that dox and do life ruination stuff to other people if they could.
Yep.
Um, so I was out of there. No, I feel like my family was trying to tell me of maybe one or two instances where they thought somebody was like either trying to come to the house or come after them, but I'm not sure. I'm not remembering that properly. But
Man.
I think they were afraid of the same thing. Um, but
Yeah, no
after
kidding.
that, I remember so the whole prison expedition process, don't really get into all of that.
Okay.
Um had to, I must have been at like four different prisons just being expedited cuz I mean, a federal indictment is whoever the actual conspirator, the main conspirator is, and he was in Washington. So I had to get sentenced in Seattle, or at
Damn.
least my pretrial hearing was in Seattle.
Where are you from again?
You
Like
know,
where were you coming from?
Arizona.
Oh wow. That's quite the travel. Quite the
Man, I
vacation.
was on that prison bus transport to Nevada. I had to pee for 8 hours straight. That
What?
was the shittiest feeling in my life.
That's inhumane.
It is kind of inhumane, to be
No, no, no,
honest.
it is. No, they should have treated you better. I believe in treating Nazis better when we imprison them.
Well, because you already won, so may as
Yeah,
well flex your
yeah,
compassion muscle.
exactly. You don't got to be mean to them no more. Just reform them. The reform process has begun. But anyway, continue. You're on your way to Washington.
Yeah, man. And
Little
then I
road
sent you
trip.
that other link to the other guy, the Tyler Parker DePepe. I didn't know anything else about the co-conspirators, but it was only after I got out on house arrest that I found out who the other co-conspirator was. It was like the ones I think I can remember are like Cameron Shea, and then there was another guy who was like the head honcho. And then the Tyler Taylor DePepe. Actually, I think they were a biological female and they were a trans man,
Ah, who is it?
but
You
that
said
didn't come
Taylor?
out. Yeah, Taylor Ashley Parker. So
Gotcha.
Taylor Ashley is the biological female, assigned name at birth, blah blah blah.
Right.
But they wanted to go by Tyler. They were Tyler.
Ah,
Because
gotcha.
I remember we got to SeaTac. SeaTac is a prison in between Seattle and Tacoma, duh. But and I remember they put him. He looked like a guy, but they put him with the girls, and I was like, what? But I had
Interesting.
to talk to the other guys in the holding cell of like, what is going on there? But it's interesting. So yeah, Cameron Brandon Shea, Caleb Cole. I don't know the Denton guy. I thought it was just the four of us. So Caleb
Interesting.
Cole and Cameron were the top guys. They must have been who I was talking to.
Okay.
And then us three there, Johnny and Taylor or Tyler. We were just kind of like the little lackeys that helped them do it. Um, I feel like there might have been more because there was like 8 people in that chat, so I don't know who else was involved that they got separately. Because as far as I know, all like some of these white nationalist cells are like completely dissolved, like they don't exist anymore,
Well, good.
as far
I
as I
mean,
know.
I mean that's good. Um, so I do have one question from the chat. They said Shauna the Pop says, "I want to know how fascists feel when they do stuff. Like I can't understand it feeling good, so it makes sense for someone to say it felt bad." And if you want my personal answer, just from my experience on fat people hate, along with like just being a conservative in general, you feel like you're superior. You make it out in your head that you are the better of two groups. All right, there's your in group and your out group, and you're the better group. All right, that's what the draw is. That's what draws people in, and that's how you end up dehumanizing the others. You know, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, I think that's actually an old Aldous Huxley quote. Is something along the lines of propaganda is to make you see other humans as non-human.
Yeah,
And
and
you
uh,
ever play the Civil War in Skyrim is a lot like that.
oh
I
yeah,
can't wait to get another Imperial dog. It's like
oh yeah,
I see why you have reasons why you would say that and be initiated to be active about that proposition. But there's obviously not a whole lot of like other uh other empathy. There's nothing behind that other than just like, you know, I'm the driver. That's my opponent. I need to win. This is war.
yep. And Valhalla Vidya in the chat says it makes you feel empowered. Exactly. Um, because they were the one that was also a fascist apparently. So full on skinhead. So, but anyway,
Yeah, yeah. I just knew all the different flavors of guys. The only people you never saw though were KKK. Like the KKK is like I was around for a while and I just never saw anyone affiliated with that. They knew
interesting.
of stuff like, oh, 20 years ago, blah, blah, blah. But like the KKK is like, I don't know if it's much of an actual thing anymore.
I think it
But
still
I,
is.
man,
There's, but I
well,
don't know.
yeah, probably. I don't know. But just at the time, I was like, it's just like this new whole alt-right fascist online young people up to their 30s or so
Oh yeah.
kind of an operation. Like this isn't like a some legacy thing that goes back to like some dudes in the 60s trying to do shit. It's the same stuff. I remember just recently Dead Domain, if you're familiar with that creator, they put out this documentary on
Yeah.
anti-Semitism, and it is crazy how many like conservative or American values and talking points and ideas and conspiracies all do just date back to this very strange propagandistic anti-Semitic othering tactic that you would shield with all kinds of group names and fancy language eventually.
If you want my
It's a
opinion, go ahead. Then I'll give my
oh no
opinion.
that yeah, what's your opinion?
I was gonna say my opinion is there's a history in the human race of just othering people, and it's like a very evolutionarily driven tendency that we have is to find the in group, the people who are good, the people who will provide for us, the people who will protect us when we're in danger, and find the out group, the people who are dangerous, the people who will hurt us, the people we fear, right? The people who perhaps we even call them inferior. We trick ourselves into thinking, no, we don't actually fear those people. It's just that they're worse than us, you know? And so that's
Yeah,
kind of how we
we want to do
justify,
away
right? And that's how we like
we,
build
well we want to
ourselves
do
up.
away with the chaff. Like they're saying, oh, this is an unproductive part, I'm going to cut it off. That's how
Right.
they view the world, as like a continual ecological systems, and humans are no different than everything else. So you need to get everything in order, therefore so and so's in the way, or something is in the way. And
Mm-hmm.
like anti-Semitism turning into various, global new world order conspiracy theory type of things. You may not be saying Jews, or maybe in some degree you do mean that, but it's coded in language, but it's the same exact thing.
Yep. It's very well packaged. And like I was saying, like that's an evolutionary drive that we have. And it benefited humanity for a long time. Now I'm not saying fascism benefited humanity. I am saying that tendency did. Because there were different groups of humanity and they weren't all very nice. So for a long time, that was just the way of the world. That was how you lived. And I think a lot of people still have that tendency. It's just very built into humanity, unfortunately. And it's something that we must always be fighting and always be vigilant about. Because even now, in leftist groups, you know, like there's purity testing. I was talking about this before we hopped onto the call. There is purity testing within leftist groups. It's not fascism. You know, I'm not saying those people are as bad or even comparable to fascists, but in this one specific way, yeah, they're purity testing just like fascists do. You know, there's an in group and an out group. And the in group is, you know, it might be like anybody who's a minority, anybody who, you know, is kowtowing to these funny ideas about how you can't question black people, period, end of story, no matter what. And that's how you get Candace Owens, of course. You know, like just things like that. You get these, again, just this in group and an out group. And it's universal. And that's something that we must always be vigilant about and always be trying to fight, because that's how you end up a fascist. And that's how you end up getting the FBI knocking down your door. So,
Because you're not fucking paying attention. You're being
yeah,
you're being
that too.
you're being an idiot.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. Of
Well,
course.
you're being what my mentor, what you're being called, you're acting like a midwit. Like you think you know things, but you don't really know things. That's really that's the whole thing of it. And if anyone's curious, if you look into something like integral theory or spiral dynamics, you do have at these more archaic tribal um stages of consciousness. It's like it's a part of it has its purpose in human experience, but it's meant to be like improved, grown out of, matured. So instead of being focused on power, authority, sort of magical thinking, um, barbaric means, you become more uh, empathetic and encompassing. You're more patient. You can work things out, and the degree just kind of grows from there. It
Yep.
becomes more integrated. You'll be able to kind of like take on what's useful and discard what's not, but not just in this purely mechanistic way, but you can identify those things about yourself and others, and the more things you might identify about others, they're more so true for you. And you kind
Yep.
of shed from the inside out, and caterpillar to butterfly type of a thing.
Yep. So I do have. It's been almost an hour. I do have one more question because I really got to go to the bathroom. And I want to end the. I want to end the call before I do. But um, one more thing that I want to ask you. So, as a proper like former Nazi who literally had the FBI knocking down his door, I would like to know. So we've already discussed what kind of brings somebody to that place, right? I would like to know what advice you have for people in the chat right now, or anybody else listening on YouTube. If people happen to be, well, they will be listening on YouTube, um, on the video. So, what advice do you have just to keep yourself and your family members and friends safe from this ideology? Because clearly, it's quite dangerous. So, what do you have to say to people as far as like keeping yourself and people you love away from this very dangerous way of thinking?
Hmm. Well, in terms of just like proximal safety, obviously just try not to be around people who you find are very, exclusionary, exclusivistic, or have very strong opinions about things. I mean, people can have strong opinions about things, but if you do confer and you do interact with them, you don't have to other them. I mean, there's this idea where you can still kind of be around them and you can have latent influence, merely by just not necessarily arguing or debating, but trying to introduce them to new things, uncombatively.
Right.
Um, and then in
Yeah.
terms of getting out of it or avoiding it, if
Hmm.
someone's down that road, because I've honestly seen a handful of people. I mean, if anyone knows like Nick Fuentes, Groiper types, I mean, these are just stupid kids, and they're sucked into it just as much as I was. So for them, it's just like, honestly, I'd say 50% of the time people need to lose purchase. They need to ride their little motorcycle of life until they crash,
Hmm.
and they'll kind of evolve and learn a lesson from that point. Um, and then for the other half, you've got your path of learning and your path of suffering. So if your path of learning, try not to overly identify or attach yourself to something as if it is really you, and you'll avoid a whole world of hurt because you're not tying in the essential value of your life and other people's lives and productivity into something that's not even truly tangible, like a good relationship or love or something like that. If it's just ideas, ideas kind of will come and go, and you have to understand that you can change. It's important to know that
Yep.
you can always be wrong. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, kind of a thing. Like you always need to be hungry. You can never be satisfied and say, "Well, I know all the things. I don't need to kind of humble myself anymore."
Yeah, absolutely. We are always an ongoing project, each and every one of us. We are our own project. So, um, yeah, that's incredible advice. Just always be vigilant. Always be looking to keep your mind open to new ideas and new things. Like, if just as an example, I'm going to end soon, so I don't want to get too into it. But like with xenogender stuff, like I don't know your opinions on that, and frankly, it doesn't matter. But like xenogender stuff used to not make sense to me. It was like one of those things that's like I don't get it, therefore it must be bad. Even as
Yeah.
like somebody who's more on the left leaning side, and regardless of what your opinion on it is, I would encourage people to keep your mind open to things like that. Just ask about it, learn about it before you write it off. Furries is another great example. I just had somebody in my Discord chat saying that, well, I don't want to give away what's going on, but a streamer that they like to watch shits on furries all the time, even though he's like a very left leaning streamer, and that can hurt. So you might be hurting the people around you, people that you care about very much, maybe even people in your audience, just by not keeping an open mind. So, and striving to learn more about the world and about people, because people are just so incredibly interesting and quirky and unique and fun. And I would rather people try to have fun with it than scrutinize it all the time. Like just take the chip off your shoulder. That would be my advice. So
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely about development is kind of the theme with this. Because, I can conjure up Conan the Barbarian time type shit and attempt to be some kind of Natsog revolutionary. But obviously, I lost purchase and crashed, and I had to reevaluate. And I had to start operating off of other, propositions and performative justifications of like, oh, okay, this is how I perceive and live life. Okay, let's keep going and try to figure this out.
yep. Well, I want to thank you very much for all of your time today. I want to thank you for the very interesting story. It's going to be good content, so thank you. Seriously. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or would you like to shout yourself out in any way? Do you have like any platforms? Where can people find you? Things like that.
Oh, not yet. I mean,
Okay.
I would like to kind of get into streaming again, but I gotta get a better computer. But
Nice.
I don't know if I don't know. The only thing I've been involved with doesn't really have much of a platform, but other than just those concepts I shouted out, like integral theory and spiral dynamics and roll omega, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, you got like a Patreon or something? Like anything?
No, I
No.
just was like, hey, Alex, a pretty open, kind of a still smallish creator to where he'll listen to me.
Okay. Hey,
I
yeah,
think I can
yeah.
give him some content.
I appreciate it. Well, if you want to start a Patreon or anything, I'm sure that people might be open to, donating. So I'd be more than happy to show whatever you have. I'm always very, very like I have a huge amount of respect for people who grow and change like that. Your past is your past, and I know that there are some things that you can't take back what you did. Obviously, it's a terrible thing, but you've learned from it, you've grown from it, and you are an extraordinarily valuable person. Like I can't stress that enough, and it's such a valuable person to have on our side because you have insider knowledge. So we're gonna make lemonade out of lemons with this video and show people like firsthand what it's like and what happens to your life when you're a fascist. It's brilliant, and I just can't thank you enough. So thank you so much for opening up today and being a positive contributing member of the progressive space, more so than a lot of people have done, surely. Um, I just like I said, I can't stress it enough. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that, and just thank you.
All right, excellent. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and Yeah, it was a wonderful conversation. Thanks for coming on today.
Of course, man. Take care.
You as well. Thanks. Bye. Well, that was awesome. That was awesome. Sorry for the Spotify thing. I don't know why that popped up. But yeah, there you go. So you heard it from the horse's mouth. Fascism bad. Fascism bad. Yeah, and we're always exactly what Valhalla Vigi is saying. We're always like, well, I was going to say something else. Actually, I reread that. We are leftist, self-growth and rehabilitation are core beliefs. Yes, actually, yes. Okay, so we're always all like an ongoing project. We're always like trying to learn new things as progressives and check ourselves, right? And that's kind of my advice to you guys, to keep yourself away from these circles. And I know that it seems easy to like, you know, keep yourself away from it, but anybody's susceptible at any time to these disgusting, perverted ideas of humanity and how the world works. And I'm very glad that, sorry, I forget his name already. I'm very glad that Jerome Mang came on today to talk about that. It was a good time. I think we learned a lot. Roman, yeah. All right, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. I'm going to put on some music for you guys, and I'll be right back. And then we got another conversation. Alrighty, I'm back. Nope. My camera tilts down a little bit, so I gotta like tilt my hat up more. Let's see. You can set Discord notifications to on at mentions for the server. That way you should get Discord. Yeah. So there's a stream announcements role, yeah. Throwmang in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Join the Discord when I've got the money for the entry fee. There's no entry fee. There's no entry fee for joining the Discord. That's free. The Discord membership costs money. Oh no. Do people think that it costs money to get into the Discord? There's a link in the description of every YouTube video. I've said that before. There's a Discord membership. It keeps trying to charge me. You guys are clicking the wrong one. Hold on. Yeah, so there's that. Make sure it works. Yep, that works. Are you getting in? There's some YouTubers who charge. I'm not one of them. There is a Discord membership. It's Me6. Like, it's through the Me6 bot. But nobody's taken part of that yet. The only question is, does Alec think femboys are cute? They can be. Just like girls. Just like anybody. Alright, well, I have not received word back from our other combo guy, so I'm going to move on. I know that the segment thing says that we're going to do, like, I'm going to tell you guys how to get a girlfriend, how to get a relationship. You know what? We can do that. We can do that. We'll go through that. Here, hold on. I probably shouldn't. You know what? I'm going to wing it. Alrighty, my friends. So I loosely, very loosely, put together a segment because I recently came across this thing from Moist Critical, Moisty Boy, where he was talking about his history with jelking. Alright, who knows what jelking is? Anybody in the chat know what jelking is? Anybody at all? You just say yes or no. Just yes or no. I'll describe it. Has anybody heard of it? Trans men stand up, yes. No, 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 nay. See, I hadn't heard of it either before Charlie introduced me to it. So, jelking is basically a massage that you do on your penis. And the idea, and I know that sounds good, but hear me out. It's not good. The idea is that, I don't know exactly how it works, but I guess you make a circle like this, and you basically are just trying to squeeze and stretch. Squeeze and stretch. You're trying to lengthen your dick, basically. Like, it is a bunk method of lengthening your dick. And there's all kinds of literature on it. There's all kinds of people who swear by it, like my dick is now like 8 inches or whatever. Like, it's insane. These people are actually insane. And Charlie tried it. Charlie from Moist Critical tried it. And he hurt himself. Very badly. You can hurt yourself extraordinarily badly. You can break blood vessels. You can, like, basically just blow up your entire dick. It's not good. It's not good. And no, it does not work. Exactly. So if all of that wasn't enough, it does not actually work. Okay? Now, why are we bringing this up? Well, I've noticed that there is an issue with young men. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but there's an issue with young men specifically, and a lot of other identifying people as well, but mostly young men. And they're convinced that, like, they need to do all these different methods to try and score. a woman, a nice female, right? That they can lay and have babies with. It's very unhealthy, right? Very unhealthy. And part of that is having a big dick. They all think that they need like the biggest dick, right? 5 inches isn't enough. 6 inches isn't enough. 4 certainly isn't enough. Oh, God, heavens forbid, right? And I'm gonna get into later like why dick size does not matter whatsoever. Like it doesn't. It does not. Okay. Like you could literally not have a dick. You can be a trans man, okay, and still have a perfectly fine, healthy relationship with a woman. Okay. Like you can literally have zero dick. All right. Size isn't anything. Size isn't anything. Okay. And we're going to talk about that later. But for right now, I want to get into some other things that, I've come across. We all know about like the pickup artistry, right? Who's that one pickup artist? This guy.
Let's watch the Channel 5 new video, the pickup art.
Oh yeah, that's from Channel 5. We're going to have to deal with it for a second.
Baby wearing diapers and at some point will be an elder woman. Our assignment is to shift our mindset. When? Right here, right now.
Is this guy?
So basically this guy's like a pickup artist, and I forget what all of his advice is, but it's horrible advice.
Just learning. Let me take a peek at the
What is this? What you feel, I want, request, roleplay, closed. What is this?
homework here. So $900 for this elementary school.
$900.
Okay.
Oh, audio is too quiet. Sorry.
So engage. Oh wait, it starts up here. Jesus Christ. What do you feel? What you want?
$900.
Restricted request. Wait, which way do I start? Do I start with a restricted request, like butt stuff, or where does it go? It's down to top. Why? I see it's numbered that way, but why? Why start? This looks like it's supposed to be arrows going this way. Jesus Christ! No wonder this guy.
$900 for this shit, man. If the price alone isn't enough, it's bunk advice too. It's not good. Okay, people spend hundreds and even thousands of dollars. I spent $900 on my microphone setup. Okay, and I thought that was too much. And I'm actually sitting here using it. Guess what? You're never going to have success with this shit. Okay, this shit does not work. It doesn't work. It does not work, and you're going to waste all of your money. So people are wasting all this money and all this time and all this energy on joking, on other forms of increasing your dick size, of trying to increase the amount that you can ejaculate, of trying to like pick up women or like be a womanizer, the Andrew Tate types. It's all ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Here. I'll show you real quick. I just have a little notepad made up right here. All right. You can see it's just a very brief outline of what we're going to go over today. So I have a 4-step program, Are you ready? This is Alec Gunter's completely free 4-step program to find a relationship. Okay. Because I am so tired of seeing all this shit about trying to increase your dick size, etc. We just talked about it. So 4 steps. Okay. Here we go. You guys ready? And then after this, we're just going to talk a little bit about, is this a troll? No, it's not. After this, we're just going to talk a little bit about like, in the bedroom. Because that's the last part of this equation, right? If you actually want a relationship. Now, if you just want to have sex, that's different. But if you want a relationship, there's 4 things you got to do, okay? So number 1, you have got to be fine being by yourself. You have got to be fine being by yourself, okay? I am completely fine being by myself. Now, Katie is gone most of the day. My fiance, Katie, she's gone most of the day. All right. And so I just do my own thing here. I have my YouTube channel. I've got my hobbies. I've got my job. I've got my projects that I do on the side. I got a little fertilizer thing going on outside, and I got some stray cats out there. I have a life that exists outside of my fiance. And that's what you need as well if you're not in a relationship. You need a life that exists outside of other people. Okay. If you don't love and appreciate yourself, you can't expect other people to love and appreciate you. All right? So you have to learn how to love yourself and appreciate yourself, or else you're expecting things of other people. Right? That you're not even expecting of yourself. I'm just trying to score some B and drink beer though. Okay, that's fine. This may not be for you guys. Okay? Maybe this isn't for chat. Maybe this is just for YouTube, and that's fine. All right? But like I said, I just wanted to put a video out there so that it's there. You know what I mean? And I can say I tried. But you have us. You're joking? Okay, fair. Sorry, I'm taking this very seriously. All right. You have to take care of yourself basically as though you're your own partner, like you're dating yourself, you know? If you would do things for your partner, try doing it for yourself once in a while, you know? Treat yourself. Take yourself out for a nice movie. I don't know, buy yourself a nice gift if you can afford it. You know, just simple things like that. Show yourself that you do love yourself. Take care of yourself a little bit, right? And that's the next part of my 4-step program is discipline yourself. You must discipline yourself. Now, this is the one that the Andrew Tate types always tend to get stuck on. They're like, well, you've got to learn to work out, bro. And you have to become the alpha Chad by restricting yourself from ejaculating unless it's inside of a woman, right? Or like things like that. It's just weird shit. So when I say discipline yourself, what do I mean? Working out's important. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys to work out because every single other influencer has already told you that. You're ripped as hell. I'm not ripped as hell right now, but thank you. I used to be. I was at one point. But working out is important, okay? I recommend you work out 2 to 3 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes a day, each time you do it. And that will just help you, you know, continue your activities. If you want to get super ripped and super buff, you can do that as well, okay? Being turbo ugly is a curse. You have no choice to be by yourself. That's not necessarily true. I don't think so. I think that you could still find somebody, even if you're turbo ugly. All right, so more importantly than the working out part, though, as far as being disciplined, you have got to clean up your living conditions, okay? I will tell you guys that my house has never been, like, garbage. Like, it's never been terrible. But it's gotten pretty bad. Like, not this house, but my last one. It's gotten pretty bad. You know, there's just clothes everywhere. There's trash everywhere. I had bugs for a while. You know, those little gnats that fly around when you got food rotting in the fucking sink. You know, and it's not good. You have got to be able to take care of yourself. Okay? You don't have to do any kind of deep cleaning. Just, like, throw the trash out. Do the dishes. Stay clean and have your teeth brushed. You know, stuff like that. And also learn how to feed yourself. Okay? I can't stress this enough. Ladies love a man who can cook. All right? And men love a lady who can cook. So, regardless of what you, or a non-binary, okay? It doesn't matter. Regardless of who you are, what you identify as, learn how to cook something, okay? Just one thing. One thing. Eggs, easy. Eggs are the easiest thing you could ever learn to make, okay? Crack them open, throw them on the pan, make yourself some nice sunny side up or over medium, you know? Like, there are all kinds of things you can do with eggs. I personally learned how to make chicken and dumplings. It's one of my favorite dishes, still is. I make it all the time. Katie loves it, okay? You will knock a girl out. Pasta, also a great choice. You will knock a girl out if you can make pasta, soup, chowder, a nice rotisserie chicken, perhaps, like anything. Like, just learn how to make it good, and make that your one dish, okay? Just your one dish, all right? That will help you immensely, and then you can treat somebody to it. Instead of saying, you know, you should go out in public for your first date, but for the second or third date, hey, why don't you come back to my place? I'll make you some dinner. I'll make you a nice dinner, right? That way, you're being polite, and you're also getting the message across that this is more than just a friendship, okay? It's just a little bit. Like, you're not quite getting there yet. You can still make dinner for a friend. But that's the idea. That's kind of what you're hinting at, right? That's what you're hinting at. So it's a nice way to do that. And also, it's just good to feed yourself good, healthy food instead of going out to McDonald's every day. Again, this is still part of disciplining yourself. All right? Step 3. Find friend groups. All right? Find a good friend group. Preferably one that is IRL, but online is also fine. If you can't find any IRL, I get it. Times are tough. You know, we're post-COVID, whatever. But try to find one IRL. If you can't, online is whatever. You know, there are groups for all kinds of things. You can do video games, board games, anime, all kinds of nerd shit like that. Or you can go to like something more productive, like volunteer orgs. Okay, there's no shortage of volunteer orgs that could absolutely use your help. And you'll meet some great people there. People who go to work at volunteer orgs, with few exceptions, are just wonderful people. They're just good people. They're great people to have around. They're great friends. They'll stick by your side. They'll do things for you when you're down and out of your luck. You know, like they're wonderful people to have in your arsenal as friends. Okay. Fitness groups are another good idea. This also rolls into the fitness thing that we talked about in step 2, right? If you want to accomplish both of these things at the same time and you can afford it, because most are expensive, unfortunately, try to find a fitness group. You know, join a boxing club. That's what I did. You know, like I've only gone to one so far, but I'm not allowed to work out this week, so I have an excuse. But I'm going to go again next week. So boxing is great. Any kind of mixed martial arts is great. Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, that's fun. Or just like a spin class, you know? Like go to a cycling class, something like that. I volunteer at Amnesty International Bookstore, met some amazing folks. A bookstore is great. Yeah. Yeah. And don't get tricked into this idea that like you need a job. You know, like my brother fell into this. Like our parents were trying to convince him that he needed a job to socialize. No, you don't. You need a job to make money. So if you need to make money, get a job. If you need a social life, don't get a job, get a social life. Get a group of people that you can hang out with. Also, you can't learn to talk to people unless you talk to people. Exactly. You're going to be awkward. You are going to be awkward. You are going to fumble. You're going to spill over your words, whatever, like trip over them. It doesn't matter, does not matter one bit, okay? I have learned that if you are just a kind person and you take an interest in other people, they don't care how many gaffes you have, all right? They'll just think you're goofy. And who doesn't like a goofy guy? Who does not like a goofy guy? Ask any woman in the world what they're attracted to. Well, maybe not any woman, but if you ask the ones who know what they're talking about, what they're attracted to, most of them will say they love a goofy guy, a guy who knows how to have fun, a guy who doesn't take things too harshly. You know, like if you can just go with the flow, you know, that's like half the battle right there. It's just being a decent guy who can go with the flow. Sense of humor will win over looks every time. Exactly. Sense of humor is very important. A good sense of humor, not like racist jokes. I used to box, but coming out got me blacklisted, so unfortunately that door is closed to me currently. I am so sorry to hear that, Valhalla. I hope that door opens back up at some point. I love a guy who can have a conversation. There you go. A guy who isn't actually in it to get a partner. Yes, that's another important thing. Like I was saying, you are doing this all for yourself, for you. You are doing this for you, okay? You're not doing this for some future relationship. You are doing this to improve your own life. All right, then we're going to focus on the relationship part, okay? And invest in these people. On that note, invest in these people. You take an actual interest in these people, okay? You're not just doing this for the hell of it. You're not just doing this for funsies. You're doing this for you, okay? You're doing this to get to know people better, for yourself. And you're not doing it for a girl, okay? If you use them as a means to an end, they're going to catch on to that, so don't. Finally, step 4 of my 4-step program. You must get lucky. That's right, baby. We got to get lucky. No, like literally, though, you do just have to get lucky. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, you do just have to get lucky to land a partner sometimes. A lot of things have to align. You know, it doesn't always align. Anything can go wrong at any time. Like, it just happens. But the good news is, there's a lot of people looking for partners, okay? There's no shortage. So, yes, you got to get a little lucky, but there are people out there looking for partners. And if you are a good candidate, they're going to take you. Okay? And usually where you end up finding these partners is these groups that you've already established, right? Even if there's not a girl in the group, you might know somebody who knows somebody. All right? Expanding connections. Having connections is one of the best things that you can do for yourself in every regard. Just have people that you like and who like you back. All right? It is so... It's invaluable. It's invaluable. So yeah, I mean, like, just hope that you get lucky, find a good partner through your friend groups, and maybe you start seeing somebody, you know? Maybe you go on a date or two. Maybe things start getting a little bit spicy. Remember what I was talking about earlier with the dick size? Doesn't matter. Does not matter, okay? There are some girls who will care, and you ditch those girls. Those girls are for the birds, okay? You don't give a shit about them. Your member is your member. You can't control what size it is. And if that's not good enough for them, then fuck them. You don't need them. Okay? And I will tell you that most girls don't care. Most girls don't care. You know what they care about? How well you can use your other members. Okay? your fingies, your tongue. Those are the things that matter. All right, get good at that. And also learn what your partner wants. Okay, if you just listen to your partner and you just, you make sure that they're listening to you and you're actually communicating back and forth, then sex becomes so much more than just penis and goober. You know, that's not what sex is. Sex is a give and take thing. Okay, it can be, well, I guess it can be whatever you want it to, but in a relationship, sex should be intimate. You know, it should be intimate. It should be a bonding experience. You know, and if that's the case, and all she cares about is, oh, your dick isn't 11 inches with spikes on it, then fuck her. She's not for you. She's not a good person to build a relationship with or a life with. All right? So stop caring about your fucking dick size to the point that you start jelking. Jelking. It's so goofy. You're going to hurt yourself doing that, okay? And yeah, that's about it. That's my whole 4-step program. And yeah, just find out what works. Exactly, Lady Nova. So relationships, I guess to end this off, can be an incredible thing. They're a wonderful gift that we have. But you can't base your entire sense of self-worth off of it. Okay? You can't. You have to have a life outside of a relationship and outside of sex. And only then will you get a relationship that is good. You can, don't get me wrong, you can get a relationship without this advice. You can. It's going to suck ass. It's going to end poorly more often than not, but you can. That's why I recommend following this advice first. Okay? Don't worry about getting a partner until you have all this other shit figured out. Be fine by yourself, discipline yourself, find friend groups. Okay? Do all of that first, and then maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe you'll find somebody who you can settle down with and maybe even have kids with and build a life with. All right? I met Katie on Tinder. It just happened that way. But before Katie, I found a girl named Sam. All right? And me and Sam dated for a while. And Sam was great. She was lovely. We had some issues that came up, and then we broke up. But she was lovely for the time that we were together. And that happened through friend groups. That just happened at college. We just met. It was during a class that we met. And then she introduced me to all of her friends. It's connections. It's connection building, okay? Rediscover your humanity a little bit. Rediscover. Go out and talk to people. Talk to people in the grocery store line. Compliment people. People love compliments. People will never think that you're weird for complimenting them unless you give them a weird compliment. Give them a genuine compliment. But people usually will not think you're weird for a compliment. If you like somebody's hair, say, I love your hair. Your hair looks lovely today. Just the other day, I complimented some guy. And he inspired me to go get my beard done professionally because he was this jacked motherfucker with he was Giga Chad. He was Giga Chad. And I just went up and said, hey man, your look is incredible. You look incredible. It was this dude that I had no sexual interest in whatsoever. He was with his wife. And I was just like, I got to hand it to him. He looks amazing. People love that shit. Just be a likable person, It's not that hard. And I guess just to end this off, like I said, prioritize yourself first. Love yourself first. Take care of yourself first. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you are sure as fuck not going to take care of a partner. All right? And usually, finding a partner will come when you least expect it. So just keep an open mind and open heart. Try to always work on yourself. Work on getting some friend groups together. Work on building human connection just for the sake of it. Not for a relationship, just for the sake of it. And that's about the best advice I can give, guys. So if you're a young man or an old man or a young whatever, it doesn't matter, trans, cis, NB, whatever, and you're having trouble with relationships, that's the best advice I got for you. Like I said, take care of yourselves, and best of luck out there. Best of luck out there in the dating market, folks. That's about all I got to say on that. All right, sorry. I know that was a different one, guys. I know that was different. Okay, it looks like our other conversation is canceled today. But no worries. It's good? Okay, I'm glad you guys liked it. Using your advice, I will become Bruce Wayne of incels. Nice. An ended relationship isn't a failed one. It can have served its purpose and ends when it needs to. That's a good way of looking at it. It was good. Thank you. I'm glad you guys liked it. I did wing it a lot. Who wants some reacts? I think we need reacts. One second. Okay. Watch the Nikki Haley speech. We tried to watch the Transmaxer documentary, which still is up. That's cool. I actually kind of want to see it. Yeah, it's got about half likes to half dislikes. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to look in content suggestions, see what we got. Would Nikki Haley be that much better than Trump? I don't know. I don't know. At that point, it's like, you want the pile of vomit or the pile of shit? At that point, it's just preference. Okay, here's what I wanted to look at.
This video has been brought to you by the
Actually, we'll look at a shorter one first just to get warmed up. A short, if you will.
This week,
So, believe it or not, I don't really like fascism. I think it's kind of gross and lame. But not everybody agrees with me, including this guy, Anti-Profit, with 1.59 million subscribers. They made a short called Things I Like About Fascism, and I, personally, am quite interested in seeing where he's going with this. So let's take a look.
this week, I read the book The Doctrine of Fascism by Benito Mussolini. And oh no, get ready for it. There were some reasonably good ideas in it. For example, fascism encourages men to be men of action.
Okay, action to do what, though? That's awful vague. You have to do something when you're doing action.
To conquer the difficulties of life through strength
What difficulties?
and a deep spiritualism. However, it also
That was extraordinarily vague. There was no substance there. That was the biggest nothing burger I've ever heard. Here, we'll play it again with no interruptions.
some reasonably good ideas in it. For example, fascism encourages men to be men of action, to conquer the difficulties of life through strength and a deep spiritualism.
Tell me that he said anything there.
However, it also says that the state is the end-all be-all. I think the last part of that is bullshit. The state is not the great unifier. Biology is. We're entering...
Oh no! Oh no! It's happening! It's happening! Oh no!
world where we need to seriously define
Eugenics
what
time.
it is to be human when contrasting ourselves to AI. Biology is the most indisputable
What?
factor in this
Wait, contrasting ourselves to AI?
when consciously define world where biology is. We're entering a world where we need to seriously define what it is to be human when contrasting ourselves to AI.
I want to comment on this mask that he's got going on, man. What's going on with this? This is pussy shit. This is pussy shit. You want to sit here and talk about like freedom of speech and all that? Use your fucking freedom of expression openly and proudly. You know, you don't need that mask. What's with the face typey? He's got a face typey. Like what come on. Game of Thrones cosplay. Also, what is this abysmal shirt? I'm sorry. This shirt might work on like a different guy, but like this fit. You know what? I take it back. I just don't like it. It's just a weird shirt. Horrific drip. Further proof that fascists have no clue how to dress themselves.
biology is the most indisputable factor in this realm. You're already seeing biology.
What do you mean the most indisputable factor? What does that mean? Like the most truthful thing? I don't think that's the case. Like the greatest truth. You know what the greatest truth is? I actually learned this in philosophy. So get your thinking caps on, you little philosophy whores, you. All right. You know what the most fundamental truth of the entire universe is? I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Do you guys know what that means? What that means is you have a conscious entity up here. I have it. I have it. I don't know if any of you have it. You could all be fake. You're all fake. All of you. You're all just made up by this simulation. All right? Everything's fake. The sky's fake. The grass outside is fake. That stray cat sitting outside right now trying to get food from me is fake. It's all fake. The food's fake. Everything's fake. Even my thoughts have been programmed in such a way, right? But I do have thoughts, yes? I am still experiencing, yes? Can't take that away from me, baby. That is the one fundamental truth of my universe. And that's why I say truth is subjective.
Biology touch a nerve in other parts of society, like the trans debate. In a world of rampant individual.
The trans debate. Yeah, see, this is just, again... Here, we'll play it again.
Already seeing biology touch a nerve in other parts of society, like the trans debate.
Okay. So all he's doing is being a huge pussy about being transphobic. Like, he's trying to do this intellectual dance of like, no, you don't understand. This is all coming from like a good place. I promise, bro. This is all coming from like an intellectual place. No, it's not. You're just a dumbass. Use the big words to make yourself sound smart.
In a world of rampant individualism, where the individual can be anything or any gender he or she wants, conservatives of
yeah, what's wrong with that?
Any individualism, where the individual can be anything or any gender he or she wants.
That's not individualism. That's just being whatever you want to be. It's not individualism to be an individual. Individualism is when you are atomizing society. That's hyper-individualism, okay?
Conservatives, of all people, start to say, hey, maybe we need to be more collectivist by making some strong definitions about gender and about biology.
How does that make us more collectivist? I think not. All that does is ostracize people on the basis of fake biology, your fake biology that you stand by so fervently. By the way, I have a biology major and a Master of Science in Nursing. So, you know, if you want to know the truth about biology, take it from me. Trans people are valid.
So again, getting back to Mussolini's book, do I think the state is the great unifier of the 21st century? No. Do I think humanity is going to be forced to embrace something even more fundamental, such as biology, to cope with the technological advancements of the 21st century?
That made no fucking sense. None of that made any sense at all. Who listens to this bullshit? Oh my god, it's got 64k likes. I gotta see some comments. Let's see. The last 3 years, I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe. I'm sure. Nice, very nice. Let's see Adolf's book. What? Fun fact, the only leader in history who tried to apply Plato's rules for the ideal society was Hitler. Cool. We just got some out and open Nazis here. This guy's a literal Reddit philosopher. He has no intelligent conclusions. He just sits there and sounds smart while amounting to nothing. There we go. There we fucking go. Let's go. That right there. Fox Arium 4137. Thank you. Exactly. That's a W take. I want to see the replies. Give some time. He's American and needs to shrug off everything he's been taught in order to embrace any new ideas. Oof! Oof! It just keeps getting worse. The pylon. The pylon. Oh my god. Brah, you're doing exact same thing. Redditors would try to defend communism, not fascism. That's not true. That is simply not true. Although both sects exist on Reddit. I think the comment got its point across. The guy in the video just says stuff that sounds smart, but yeah. Dumb person's idea of a smart person. True. Let's see some more. There's only so much dialogue you can squeeze into a 60-second YouTube short. Wait, what? This is how he chooses to represent himself. This is a choice that he is making to represent himself. Okay? So you can't use the context card. This is his context. Okay? Listen, when I make YouTube shorts, which I do now again, look. This is how I represent myself. This is a fair representation of me.
Detailed herein, this court now finds defendants liable.
He's in the timeout chair. Oh, he's been a naughty boy. Oh, he's been such a naughty boy. Uh-oh. Timeout chair. Timeout chair. Look at this guy in the back. I love it. I love it. He's having such a good time.
As detailed.
Look at that shitting grin. He's like, yeah. Trump's getting his. What a Chad.
As detailed.
It's a perfect representation of me and my beliefs. No notes. Yeah, you shouldn't clip yourself out of context like Jesus. Don't clip yourself. But yeah, I just thought that was a funny appetizer to, we got another longer one that we're watching here if you're on the stream. If you're on YouTube, then I hope you enjoyed the video. A little bit of a shorter one once again, but, I like the shorter one sometimes as a little treat. Milo spotted. Yeah, Winry's off to my left here. Wait. Could it be? Oh, man. Never mind. Never mind. It's stamps. I thought it was going to be my stickers. My stickers haven't come in yet. I just ordered a ton of stamps for them, though. Congrats on 10K subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. What's Mussolini's history as a leader again? I don't know. I don't know. I say we clip Alec out of context of them saying sex is give and take. It is. But it is. It's a give and take experience. It's very it's intimate. You got to have some give and some take. All right, let's move on to the next part. Taxes? No, it wasn't taxes. It was stamps. I ordered stamps because I ordered. You guys remember the stickers? Here, just for anybody who doesn't know, let me remind you real quick. So I ordered stickers. Here. I ordered stickers. These are all stickers. Okay? And people who are tier 3 or higher are going to get stickers. You get one sticker every month that you're subscribed. You just have to submit proof of your subscription. Maybe not every month. I might like sit there and I might take the time to just go through and make sure that like people are still subscribed and whatever. But yeah, so I have, let's see, these aren't all the colors here. I have 10 basic colors and then I have 2 special colors. So the 2 special colors are rainbow and gold. Not this gold. This one's no longer like a sticker you can get. I technically ordered them, but like I don't like the color. It's too mustardy. But yeah, rainbow and gold are the 2 colors that are like special editions. So they only got 10%. 10% of the chance as the rest of the stickers to get it. Okay? Collect them all! Buy the stickers! Only $10 a month for 1 sticker every month. It's a small thing that I can do for you guys just to show my appreciation. That's all. Hear that, gay furry programmers in the community? You can put it on your... Oh, you hear that, gay furry programmers? You can put it on your MacBook. Yeah, exactly. See? I was being sardonic. He was very much a giant loser. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. The logo reminds me of OCP from RoboCop. I don't know who that is. Oh, I see it. Like the logo. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Let's get this segment going. So as a progressive, as somebody on the left, I use the word fascist a lot. Now, what do I mean when I say fascist? Basically, I'm invoking an idea of somebody who is extraordinarily exclusive to the point that they have an in-group and they have an out-group, okay? They're part of their own in-group, which is comprised of usually traits that you can't really control that much, whether that be your skin color, your weight. For me particularly, it was like weight. Even though you have some level of control over that, I still count it. Your sex, your gender, things like that, right? And then your out group is everybody that is not a part of that group or maybe doesn't ascribe to your beliefs, right? That's everybody outside of your group. And the goal of fascism is essentially to purge the outside group, purge them or subjugate them. That's essentially what fascism is. So if you believe in an ideology sort of like that, like if you believe in expelling illegal immigrants or whatever from the country, just like, wholesale, get rid of all of them, you're probably a fascist. So that's what I mean when I say it. And I try to use it carefully, although I sometimes slip up and call people fascists when they may not be, or say that something's fasci, like indicative of being a fascist. It gets a little messy. I'll admit that. But this person, Lavender, who I've never heard of before today, thinks that the left uses the label far too often. The fascist card. Why does the left label opponents as fascists? So I'm going to take a look at what they think about this situation, and I'm sure that we will come to some kind of understanding of some sort. I don't know. And yeah, there was a baby behind me. There was a little kitty baby. All right. So the segments we have are introduction, the manipulation of definitions. We're going to get a lot of trans stuff in that segment. The hidden enemy, the need for a boogeyman, which, where did it go? Oh yeah, the need for a boogeyman, the Nazi boogeyman. Yes, yes, the the boogeyman of the Nazis. Yes, such a boogeyman. And then the conclusion. All right, let's go.
This video has been brought to you by the generous channel members and lads over at Patreon. Thank you all for supporting me and my content.
Oh boy. No copyright, please.
Being an individual who has actively engaged in discussing political and historical discourse long before my YouTube era...
We're opening up on Stark Tower here. We're about to get a look into what the Hulk has been up to.
I have had the opportunity to encounter and engage in conversations with numerous individuals who align themselves with a diverse range of political ideologies.
Oh yes, I'm sure that like you've meaningfully engaged with people who have rose icons and the comrade icon, the hammer sickle. What is this one? This looks fashy as shit.
In the process, I have come across
Who are we watching? Their name is Lavender with 19.3k subscribers.
Intriguing and varied interpretations of historical events and conflicts that have piqued my curiosity and enriched my understanding of the world around us. Since I identify myself as right-wing, I have obviously had many clashes with those that identify as left-wing and progressive. And if you have ever engaged with these people as much as I have, you would have more than likely been called the infamous F-word by them.
No, not... Oh, that word, never mind.
Fascist. This strategy by the left to label everyone on the right as a fascist and Nazi is not uncommon. Actually, it is extremely prevalent among these people, and many famous left-wing content creators on YouTube
I know these guys!
Do love using the F-word a lot when discussing their opponents. And the further left you go, towards the more radical sides like communism, you will see that their followers are even more trigger-happy with that term. I myself have seen so many communists unironically calling social democrats and even liberals as fascists.
Okay, this part actually is true. Communists will call fucking anybody a fascist. I've been called a fascist by people with the hammer sickle icon. I'm sorry. Hammer sickle icon people are wild. Not all of them, but certainly many of them.
Or simply fascists in disguise. Of course,
Same with the
anyone
rose
who is
icon.
even a little bit mature in political discourse can see how ludicrous it is to go around and label everyone who disagrees with you a fascist. But despite it being so obvious, the question comes up. Why exactly is the strategy so popular? What exactly makes it so effective? And why is the left so keen on preserving it?
Well, I don't think it's popular as much as it is just usually accurate. Like if you have to sit here and deny that you're a fascist, like in any reasonable capacity, then you probably are one. You know what I mean? Like if somebody were to call me a fascist, I would just like and walk away. Like there's nothing you can point to for me to say that I'm a fascist. Zero. And I defy anybody to prove me otherwise.
These
don't
are the
otherwise.
questions
Don't do
I
that.
hope to answer today. Why does the left love calling everyone on the right fascist so much? And the answer to this
love
may
calling
not
people
be
fascist.
as straightforward
Wait. Why is this building made of USB ports? This is some of the ugliest construction I've ever seen on architecture ever.
And the answer to this may not be as straightforward as one may think. Every
Manipulation of
human being
definitions.
on planet Earth has their own opinions and
Okay, I'm making a bet. I will donate $50. I'll do it anyway. But I will donate, you know what? Actually, no, we'll make it count. I'll donate $50 to the Trevor Foundation if by the 10-minute mark, he has not said, or we'll call it this segment. He does not say anything about trans people.
is entitled to them. And more importantly,
$50.
humans should have the right to talk about their opinions openly. And this is the beauty of freedom of speech. You have the full right to express your opinions and try to convince people why your opinion is correct.
Okay.
The upside of freedom of speech is not
If my opinion is I should be allowed to murder people, I don't want people saying that.
only that people can say what they want
There's some
without
opinions that are not worth
consequences,
voicing.
but also that it will lead to certain ideas being understood more. Let's say, for example, you have your own show where you push a certain narrative and idea, like that all French people eat frogs, and you make several points about your narrative and back it up with evidence. And then someone else comes along on another show and challenges your idea, saying how French people don't eat frogs, and that person brings their own evidence.
They eat snails, dipshits. They're known for eating snails.
And then you, the listener of both shows, come to your own conclusion after hearing both sides of the argument. Do French people eat frogs or do they not? That is up for you to decide.
They also eat frog legs? No, they eat snails! And baguettes. And sometimes they take a little nibble off the Eiffel Tower.
And for the sake of argument, let's say you adopt the idea that French people don't eat
Like a gingerbread house.
frogs, and then you start developing your own ideas and arguments, even perhaps coming across new evidence that proves your point. And then you
I've been to France? Then I can't trust you! What do you mean you've been to France? Oh, that's supposed to help your case? Oh, you've been indoctrinated by the French, dumbass. You're lying to me.
start spreading
You're
your
programmed.
thoughts
Nope,
around,
don't trust you.
and thus you are
Never go to
contributing
France.
to this discussion. And the same
They
thing
eat
can be
snails
applied
there.
to people who do believe French people eat frogs.
I am French? Oh my god.
But
I'm a
one
French
thing is
moderator.
for certain,
We'll take care of that
you
after.
will in the end understand the topic better. By going back and forth with debates, discussions, writing books, those involved with this topic will tend to
Yeah, if they're like intelligent debates, the debates I have people advocating for shit like sexual assault. Like, that's not broadening my mental horizons. That's just beating my head over a fucking brick in Minecraft.
understand it more by listening to both sides of the argument, and while it can sometimes convince people to switch sides, sometimes it can even lead
Oh,
to
good, you're
people
Danish,
finding
good.
flaws and pointing them out. With every point a new argument brought up, it opens the possibility for the opposing side to make a response to it and come up with their own argument against it. Or at least, that's how it should be working. Because now,
boy.
let's go back to my example. You have a show where you push the narrative that French people eat frogs, but suddenly, there is no other side to the argument. It either does not exist or the one who is making it is so irrelevant and is not allowed to push it to the broader public like you are.
Yeah, if it's really super fucking harmful, then you shouldn't be allowed to, frankly. Like, I know that we have to have a conversation about what is harmful and what's not, but I would say that the eradication of a group of people, like trans people, is indeed pretty fucking harmful. Also, I haven't forgotten, we're still looking for the manipulation of definitions. We're looking for trans people.
Yeah, that is where the problem starts. With there practically being no real other side to the argument, people will generally only hear that one.
By the way, just want to say, horrific optics here. Horrific optics.
Side of it and nothing else. However, with this addition of there not being any real opposition to the idea, people can start manipulating it by spreading outright lies and saying that the other side believes in things they actually don't. But since there is no real or open opposition about it from the other side, this narrative will get accepted. And we have seen this plenty of times in totalitarian.
Okay, but what if it's true? Have you considered that? What if the narrative is true? You're using ridiculous examples, but I'd like to like use a real one, you know? Use a real example.
Systems throughout history, censoring and banning the thoughts and ideas of anything they deem to oppose their own narrative, and making sure that the people do not learn about them, but rather just focus on their own ideologies. But then there are times where the idea isn't directly banned, but it is heavily suppressed. And I could not give a better example of this than the infamous Red Scare in the United States.
Oh, interesting.
The Red Scare, also sometimes called McCarthyism after US Senator Joseph McCarthy, who was spearheading this idea, advocated the idea that communism was an evil force that had infiltrated the United States.
So I think that he's doing this just to be subversive, like, oh, you would not have expected. You wouldn't have expected a conservative to go on the defense for the USSR, now would you have? That certainly never happens ever. But if it did, I think that we'd call them tankies.
How communism was going to ruin America and kill everyone. How being communist was anti-American and so on. Classic propaganda tactics. Now, despite myself being anti-communist, I have to admit that the Red Scare really did nothing positively. Worst of all, the term communist in the US at the time was more used as a slander tool than an actual identification of someone belonging to the communist ideology. US politicians would very commonly label critics, journalists, and anyone else a communist, and considering the reputation communism had, it had the possibility of ruining someone's career. If you would ask—
They're literally doing that now, by the way. Like, conservatives are doing that now. We are just doing the Red Scare over again. Yeah.
Ask a normal American teenager around that time period about communism, they would always say that communism is bad, communism is evil. But how many of them would actually give you a proper definition on what communism actually was or why it was evil? Truth be told, the vast majority of Americans, despite knowing and seeing communism as bad, they could never properly identify or define it, because the Red Scare made sure to be as vague about communism as possible, and as said, completely made stuff up with just a little bit of truth sprinkled in there. The Communist Party of the United States, however, was not banned and they were still accepting memberships, but due to the political climate, they were barred from entering anything mainstream or even giving them a platform to speak from. Despite their technically being in opposition, they had practically no voice, being suppressed at every turn, and Americans were being told to stay away from them and not fall for their communist lies. Obviously today—
Yeah, but okay, so he's going to try to connect this to like being a conservative and just trying to do bigotry, right? Like he's going to be like, you can't just say 1350 or whatever it is. I think it's 1350. You can't just say you can't say that anymore. If you get looks at you when you just point out the fact that, like, you know, the incorrect fact, by the way, that 13% of the population, black people, commit 50% of the crime. You get people looking at you all weird and funny when you just say things like that. Yeah, you do. You should. Okay? Because why are you saying that? Because if you were honest, all right, you would just say that, like, oh, black people commit more crime. Like, black people are more prone to commit more crime, right? Like, you would just say it. You would just say the quiet part out loud. But you're not being honest. You're trying to use stats and whatever else, and you're trying to twist it into your little narrative.
Today in America, the Red
they should be
Scare is
skeptical.
over. People are more quote-unquote informed about communism than ever, and so it managed to relatively die down. But this is what I was talking about, because there was...
I'm getting a little scared he's not going to say anything about trans people. But like in a section called the manipulation of definitions about like from a conservative, I could have sworn they would have gone, what is a woman? You know what I mean? But we'll see.
Practically no opposition from actual communists in the United States and abroad. Senator McCarthy and other US politicians changed the meaning of what it meant to be a communist at their own will. And since their voice was the dominant and only one, people were buying into everything they said and believed it. By being the only voice without opposition, one could define communism as really whatever they wanted. So why am I exactly talking about this? What is my point? Well, if you take everything about the Red Scare / McCarthyism and change the word communism into fascism, you will start noticing how things are.
Fascists are hiding among us. They are. Fascists are trying to take over. They are. Anyone right-wing is actually fascist. Not quite. Not quite. Usually they're fascist aligned or fascist allowing or voting for fascists, but not everybody who's right-wing is a fascist. People trying to criticize us are fascists. Not always. This seems embellished. If you do not stand with us, you are a fascist. That depends. If you don't stand with me on liberation for queer people, then yeah, I'm going to call you a fascist, and I feel like that's fair.
Are getting a little too similar. It's almost like the left adopted the ideas of McCarthyism and made their own version of it.
You can also do this with like any word that you want. It's worth pointing out. Like, centrist. Anyone centrist is actually, I don't know, a cheese eater. Cheese eaters are hiding among us. Cheese eaters are trying to take over. People trying to criticize us are cheese eaters. You're just a bunch of filthy, disgusting cheese eaters. Yeah, it's just word games. Like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
By directing it towards the right. Now, am I trying to
fuck
defend
the French and
fascism
fuck their
with
cheese?
This? Of course not. Being a monarchist, I have my fair share of disagreements and criticisms of fascist doctrine. But this is no real way to learn about ideologies. If you want to learn about fascism and what fascists actually believe in, then go pick up a book from fascist thinkers and start reading and making your own conclusions.
But they don't call themselves fascists. Fascists never call themselves fascists. You know what communists do? They call themselves communists. You know why? Because it turns out communism at its roots is really not that bad of an ideology. Fascism, as far as it exists as a single ideology, which it's more like a loose mesh of disgusting, perverted pieces of ideology that are all like pushed together into this amalgamated piece of shit. They don't admit it. They don't admit it. Okay, they don't call themselves fascists unless you're Big Papa fascist, but even then it's tongue-in-cheek, right? Like you have to say, oh, I'm not really a fascist. The left is really the fascist. They're the fascists. When did communists ever say they're the real communists? I'm just saying. It seems kind of dishonest.
View to it and criticize it.
So that's already a false equivalency.
That is exactly the issue. The left isn't even properly criticizing fascist thought. When they say they are criticizing fascism, what they truly mean is they don't like Trump or any group that's just a bit to the right
Trump
of the
is a fascist. Trump is literally on record saying, he's on record saying that he will be a dictator the first day in office. That is fascism.
I have yet to see, for example, any kind of leftist breaking down Giovanni Gentile's essays on fascism and go over each chapter, properly understand.
He said you didn't read enough theory. Oh no. He said he's theory, what is it called? He's theory trolling, like concern trolling for theory.
What he is trying to say and properly applying criticism to it.
Maybe he is a communist.
But obviously that is too much work. My point is, by taking the term fascist, the left is able to twist and change the meaning of fascism to whatever they want, thanks to the fact that the opposition doesn't even exist.
Wait, does this count? She has a trans button. I don't think this counts.
Or is never heard, and the average Joe will most likely...
Owning and shooting an assault rifle is fascism? Let me tell you something. This person probably owns more guns than most people. Okay? Probably owns more guns than the average American.
Never even question it. They themselves...
Where's the trans button? It was this button right here.
even question it. They themselves don't even know or can properly define what fascism is. And in true
That's
Red's
French button. Is it? It looked pink. That's not trans, that's French. It looks pink, white, and blue. But if you say it's French, then fine.
exist or is never heard.
They do have a gay
And the
button.
average
Yeah, they have a gay button. Like I thought it was trans-colored.
Joe will most likely never even question it. They themselves don't even know or can properly define what fascism is.
I already did at
and
the
in
beginning.
true Red Scare fashion, instead use it as a giant slander tool to bring down their opponents without engaging in an actual debate.
Okay,
But
but if it's that obvious, then people should be able to see through it, right? Like, you shouldn't have to make this whole video about, well, they only call me a fascist because of things and stuff. Like, people will figure it out. They'll see through it.
exactly makes this approach so effective.
It's not that simple.
We'll get back to the video in just a second. Let's hear from today's sponsor,
God damn it, I was wrong. Okay, after the segment's over, I'll donate $50 to the Trevor Foundation.
To it. If we look at the state of politics in the vast majority of countries, specifically the West, we will see that fascism is practically a dead ideology. When I say that, I don't mean that they do not exist. There are still many organizations and groups that identify as fascist, and undoubtedly, there are many people who believe in it.
Who identifies as fascist? I'm interested in this.
But what I mean is that fascism has no actual political power and has barely, if any, influence in any government of a developed nation. This has not, however, stopped leftists from calling many mainstream...
Yeah, they haven't tried to, like, implement laws against specific groups of people based on characteristics or traits that are entirely outside of their control. They haven't done anything like that. They haven't, like, opened concentration camps for people who are of a different race. Right? They haven't done any of that in the United States. That hasn't happened.
Right-wing parties and figures as fascist, like Donald Trump and the Republican Party, the AfD in Germany, Marine Le Pen, and the list goes on.
I don't know about the AfD. I've heard of them. I think they're fascist, and Trump is absolutely fascist, without question.
Think of pretty much any public right-wing figure, and I can tell you that they had definitely been called fascists once or twice.
And justifiably
Since the definition of fascism has been completely distorted to be nothing more than a slander term,
why don't you define it
it's very easy to label them...
He hasn't even defined it yet, by the way. I don't think he's defined fascism at all yet.
All as fascist the moment there is even a shred of quote-unquote similarity between them. Like, for example, standing on a balcony. The reason why this strategy...
Hold on.
Standing...
As many people have pointed out, Trump's planned balcony address from the White House directly emulates Mussolini. I think that's stupid, but you know what else is stupid? This. People kept comparing Biden right here to Hitler. Oh, God. They kept saying that he looked like a fascist. They were, like, posting this on Twitter all the time, saying that, like, here, let me open a new tab so you guys can see it. They were posting this picture on Twitter all the time, being like, look at him. He's got the red lights behind him, and he looks evil. He looks evil. He looks like Hitler. He looks like Hitler. He looks like Hitler. Like, that was all over the place. Go look it up if you don't believe me.
On a balcony. The reason why this strategy is so effective is because it plays with the anxieties of people, saying how there is a hidden enemy among them, and how fascism is about to jump out at any second and take over. Everyone knows that fascism is bad, and when you start...
There are trans people right now who cannot access medical care. That's an element of fascism.
Start saying that Trump is a fascist...
There are concentration camps on the border open right now, filled with children and adults alike who don't have the proper provisions that they need simply to survive reasonably. That's an element of fascism.
They will start thinking that Trump is gonna...
We're aiding and abetting a genocide over in Israel. That's fascism.
...do something on the scale of Adolf Hitler. I would say there are 5 big reasons why this strategy of an unseen enemy lurking in the shadows is efficient to fool people.
Oh, yes,
Number
unseen.
1, primal fear and survival instincts. Humans have evolved to be highly sensitive to threats, especially those that are not easily identifiable or tangible. This primal fear and survival instinct...
Yeah, and that's what fucking fascists use. This is just projection. Fascism is all about projection, by the way.
...can be easily triggered by the idea of an unseen enemy lurking among the population. In this case, the notion of fascists lurking among us tapped into this instinctual fear, making people more susceptible to...
I'm on a 3-year waiting list that's only getting longer? Jesus fuck, dude. That is awful. I'm sorry.
...accept the idea without demanding concrete evidence. Number 2, confirmation bias and groupthink. Once fears are stoked, people tend to interpret ambiguous information in a way that confirms their pre-existing beliefs. This is known as confirmation bias. In this context, those who were already predisposed to believing in the existence of fascists in the government were more likely to interpret any suspicious behavior or association as evidence. Additionally, were already predisposed to believing in the existence of fascists in the government were more likely to interpret any suspicious behavior or association as evidence.
Like what? Like what? Give me something to work with here. You've given me nothing. All you've done is like make comparisons and vague gestures at things, but you've not actually focused in on anything. I'm on the 3-year waiting list, which is actually a 5+ year waiting list. Jesus Christ.
Additionally, the fear-driven environment encouraged groupthink, where individuals were more inclined to adopt the prevailing beliefs of the larger society, reinforcing their idea further.
No, everybody's susceptible to that, including this guy, by the way. Okay? Like, he is not an exception.
Number 3, cognitive dissonance and simplification. This has created a cognitive dissonance, a state of psychological discomfort arising from holding contradictory beliefs or ideas. To alleviate this discomfort, people might simplify complex situations and accept black and white explanations, such as the notion that anyone with right-wing or nationalist views must be a fascist. Simplification allowed people to mix...
Okay, but you haven't explained how you're not yet. Like, you haven't given specific accusations that have been hurled at you and then disarmed them. Like, you haven't been able to do that.
Sense of a complex world and reinforce the beliefs in the widespread presence of fascism today. Number 4, influence of authority figures.
Wait, this is the picture. This is it. How is he actually using this picture when he made that point before? He should know, of all people, that he's literally doing the thing. He's doing the thing. He's doing the thing that he said that his opposition was doing. He's doing the thing. Are you serious? Okay, dude. Okay.
Political leaders and other authority figures can play a crucial role in shaping public opinion around these issues, whether it be a prominent YouTuber, real-life activist, politician, or organization. When such claims come from authoritative sources, people may be more inclined to accept them without questioning, especially if doing so aligns with their existing...
Okay, then why did people not accept Trump without questioning? Interesting.
Fears and biases.
And also, people on the left question Biden all the time. It's like these people live in their own alternate reality where, like, there are no progressives or leftists or anybody who dislikes Biden or any of his policies, when that's simply not the case. Most of the progressive people that I'm associated with, at least, and even some Democrats now, like liberals, are saying, hey, Biden, maybe it's a bad idea to aid and abet a genocide. Maybe we should actually forgive some student loans. You know, like, maybe that'd be a good idea. Maybe we should legalize weed. You know, like, we actually push our leaders. Look at his approval rating. Look. Look. Biden approval rating over time. Polling tracker. Look at this. This is from before October, right? When the Hamas attacks happened. And then the Hamas attacks happened, and then it started going down. And it's still on the decline. Approval rating. Okay? So this is bullshit. The left actually holds their leaders to account. The right does not. You gobble their shit up. All right? I don't want to hear it.
And finally, number 5, social and peer pressure. The fear of being labeled as...
You should be socially and peer pressured out of fascism. Okay? And into socialism. You should. Peer pressure. Go ahead. No, go pressure your peers to be socialists. Go do that.
A fascist sympathizer or soft on fascism can contribute to social pressure to conform. People may be afraid of these consequences of being seen as insufficiently committed to the cause of rooting out fascism, which leads them to buy into this narrative to demonstrate their loyalty and avoid suspicion. For example, in Austria, just being under suspicion of having Nazi sympathies can lead to your life getting ruined and fired from your job.
I mean, I don't know about suspicion, but it's certainly worth looking into. Like, if you're a person who believes in Nazi ideology, then yeah, you should be ostracized until you fix it. I don't think it should be permanent, but until you fix it, you should be ostracized.
And a normal man obviously does not want to risk that.
It's called living in a civilized society.
In my personal opinion, I believe the fifth reason, social peer pressure, is the biggest reason why people are adopting this narrative. With this, I would like to introduce you all to Solomon Asch, a psychologist who pioneered social psychology. During his lifetime, he had run a few interesting experiments called the Asch conformity experiments. This is how the experiments...
Oh, wait, I remember these experiments. So what he's going to basically describe is, and I'll describe it before he does, you sat people down, if these are the right ones, I'm thinking, here, let me make sure that I'm talking about the right one and not talking out my ass. I almost said Ash. The Asch experiment. Yeah, I think this is the right one. Sheriff's conformity experiment was that there was no correct answer to the ambiguous autokinetic experiment. Okay, so Sheriff's experiment is the one I was thinking of. Sheriff's experiment was where you basically had participants. Oh wait, hold on. Let me just read about it. Sheriff's conformity experience was that there was no correct answer to the ambiguous autokinetic experiment. How can we be sure that a person conformed when there was no correct answer? Asch, 1951, devised what is now regarded as a classic experiment in social psychology whereby there was an obvious answer to a line judgment task. If the participant gave an incorrect answer, it would be clear that this was due to group pressure. Okay, so this is not the one I was thinking of. The one I was thinking of was about getting somebody to, like, shock somebody on the other side of a curtain that you couldn't see, right? And they were convincing you that, like, no, you're not hurting that person, you're not hurting that person. And they weren't actually shocking anybody, mind you, but they were convinced that they were shocking somebody. And so they just kept, like, upping the dial, because the experimenters were telling them to. And that's considered a classic in how, like, fascism is proliferated. But anyway, experimental procedure. Asch used a lab experiment to study conformity, whereby 50 male students from Swarthmore College in the USA participated in a, quote, vision test. Using a line judgment task, Asch put a naive participant in a room with 7 Confederates/stooges. Okay, that's kind of a weird word to use, but I get it. The Confederates had agreed in advance what their responses would be when presented with the line task. The real participant did not know this and was led to believe that the other 7 Confederate stooges were also real participants like themselves. Each person in the room had to state aloud which comparison line, A, B, or C, was most like the target line. The answer was always obvious. The real participant sat at the end of the row and gave his or her answer last. At the start, all participants, including the Confederates, gave correct answers. However, after a few rounds, the Confederates started to provide unanimously incorrect answers. Wow. There were 18 trials in total, and the Confederates gave the wrong answer on 12. Asch was interested to see if the real participant would conform to the majority view. Asch's experiment also had a control condition where there were no Confederates, only a real participant. Asch measured the number of times each participant conformed to the majority view. This is a very good experiment. On average, about 1/3, 32%, who were placed in this situation went along and conformed with the clearly incorrect majority on the critical trials. Over the 12 critical trials, about 75% of participants conformed at least once, and 25% of participants never conformed. In the control group, with no pressure to conform to Confederates, less than 1% of the participants gave the wrong answer. Yeah, so basically this experiment is showing you guys that group think and group mentality. You know another great video, actually? Let me show you. Waiting room experiment. I love this one. I love this one.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this one would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you?
This experiment wasn't valid? Really? I'm watching it anyway.
After just 3
it still proves
beats,
my point, and it's still
knowing
funny.
Why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group.
It proves the same point.
But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Please look up the follow-up. Fine. No fun allowed. Karen Dave said no fun allowed. No fun allowed. No fun, no fun, no fun allowed. No fun. Ruining the fun. The waiting room experiment is fine. Oh, this one's fine. Okay, okay. Never mind. This one's not as fun. So this one, the follow-up to that experiment. Okay. Here, let's finish the fun one.
Swen.
Not that. That's not fun. That's fun.
Okay, now she's alone.
Sorry I accused you of being no fun.
And nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do?
Let's go! Stand up, lady.
Now
Buzzer set to stand up.
Group without them
Get your ass
being
out of
there.
that chair, just like me.
Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who
Oh,
doesn't
what's gonna
know
happen?
the rules.
Have a seat, and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Thanks
Who's
so
to
much.
say? It's so awkward. It's so awkward.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do?
It kind of looks staged.
We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting
It looks a
patients
little
arrived.
staged, but I still think it's funny. Let me believe. Okay. You guys get the idea. They're probably playing copyright music now, but you guys get the idea. It's very funny. But yeah, let's look up what's going on with this Ash. Experiment. Follow-up. Follow-ups to the Ash experiment showed that the number of dissenting voices made a difference to the results, as did the forcefulness of the Confederates. Oh! One incorrect Confederate made little difference to the answers, but the influence steadily increased if 2 or 3 people disagreed. Okay, but... Okay, can you link what you're talking about? Because that still doesn't, like... Were they, like, being manipulated? Here, let's look at the Wikipedia article. Variations. Interpretations. Selective representation. Ash's 1956 report emphasized the predominance of independence over yielding, saying the facts were being judged were under the circumstances the most decisive. However, a 1990 survey of U.S. social psychology textbooks found that most ignored independence, instead reported a misleading summary of the results as reflecting complete power of the situation to produce conformity of behavior and belief. Okay, so basically textbooks were saying that this experiment is taken out of context and that you can actually like just brainwash people into believing different things. A 2015 survey found no change, with just one of 20 major texts reporting that the most participant responses defied majority opinion. Most participant responses defied majority opinion. Oh, okay. So actually most people didn't conform. Okay. No text mentioned that 95% of subjects defied the majority at least. Oh, never mind. I read it wrong. There's a big difference between groupthink and actually being pressured. What we don't know is how many people they had to go through to get that result. It can't be replicated. Why can't it be replicated? Oh, because like it's already been, like we've been there, done that. Well, you could still replicate it. You could still find people who don't know about the study. It's not like I knew about it. Let's keep going with the video. We've trailed off enough.
There would be 10 participants.
Okay.
One participant would be a
So we've got an idea of what we're
one,
talking about here.
while the other 9
I do accept the idea, by the way. I accept the idea that you can manipulate somebody using peer pressure. That's what he's getting at here, is just the peer pressure thing. The experiment itself is not that important.
Participants were fake ones, decoys intentionally planted for the sake of the experiment, and their task would be a very simple one. They were presented with 3 lines, and they all had to decide together on which line was the longest. Simple enough, right? But here is where it gets interesting. Those 9 fake participants would intentionally agree that, for example, line C is the longest instead of the obvious line B. And Ash would discover that the one genuine participant would agree with the group 40 to 50% of the time, despite it being plainly obvious that the other line was the longest one. Up to 75% of—
There is something to be said for, like, you know, variations on how many people agreed, because if everybody's saying the wrong one all the time, then that's going to look suspicious.
Participants conform to an obvious lie at least once. This is because of social pressure. If 9 people are telling you X—
Wait, the guy who wasn't part of it went with the group? Yeah.
is true and not Y, despite Y being very clearly the correct answer, people will cave to them and accept that X is true. Even Ash himself would point out how worrying the results were. Quote, "The fact that—
Yeah, I would be interested in seeing, like, okay, let's give them, like, a question that matters. You know what I mean? That's a big problem that I have, is like, okay, you're just talking about different line lengths, and one of them is clearly correct. But let's say, like, okay, is it okay to— you ask somebody, you ask the group, is sexual assault ever okay? Is sexual assault ever okay? And 5 out of the 7 people say, let's say that they're plants, and they say yes, right? And then the one plant says no, just to keep it, you know, keep people guessing. So the last person, who's the real participant, says, you know, I would be interested in seeing what they have to say. You know, would they agree with the group? Probably not. Like, they would probably be looking around like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? Sexual assault's never okay. There's no excuse for it. That would be my guess.
Intelligent, well-meaning young people
are
willing to call white black is a matter of concern. How does this apply to our topic? If you are active in areas that have a very leftist leaning and people—
Okay, but you can make the same argument about fascism, by the way. Like, you can make the exact same argument, or about any ideology.
Interact with, share these same values, you are expected to adopt this narrative as well in order to not seem like an outsider. And even if you might disagree with this notion in the beginning and just parrot it without—
Sorry, the cats outside are being funny. You look at it. One of them is playing with the little carpet we got out there, the little rug.
Actually meaning it, over time you will come to genuinely believe in it, because the environment around you demands it. You don't even know yourself what actually makes Trump a Nazi, but because everyone around you and in your social—
Okay.
circle says it, you start believing it without question. And this isn't just limited to either being accepted,
yes,
but also because of the fear of the possible repercussions of what might happen if they find out that you don't actually believe in these things. Let me give you a recent example of the drama that happened with Vicky 1999. Well, the first one before the whole grooming allegations. Discord server chats were leaked where Vicky was seen saying some unfavorable things towards Palestinians and supposedly standing in support of Israel.
Oh shit. Oh shit, dude. You can't just come out and say that. Holy shit, Vicky. Christ almighty. You know why you support them? Because they're being genocided. Because we're better than fucking conservatives. Okay? That's why we support them. Alright, and being Palestinian, we support the Palestinians. Okay, we don't support the homophobic people. We don't support the people who want to throw trans people off of buildings. We don't support them. We support Palestinians. Okay? And it is not a crucial element of being Palestinian that you are also homophobic or transphobic and want to throw people off of buildings for that. Like, that's simply not the case.
And then this basically started a whole public lynching of Vicky because people thought that she supported Israel instead of Palestine.
She deserves it.
It works like a hive mind. The moment you have your own opinions on a matter...
If you're asking that question genuinely, then I'll answer it. But if you're usually when you're asking that question, you're not asking it genuinely. You're asking it to get a rise out of people.
Like, for example, saying that not all right-wingers are fascists, you can expect that all the ties and reputation you built up can be ruined in an instant because of it. And no wonder that people can be fearful of saying what they truly think, and just continue parroting the same.
If I say something really fucking stupid, all right, like really hateful or bigoted or something, I would not only expect my audience, like as I am right now, I would not only expect my audience to leave, I would want them to. I would want them to, okay? Because I don't want them supporting me if my ideas are dog shit. That's very simple to me. I would, I'll demand it right now. If I ever go like homophobic or transphobic or, you know, even racist or whatever, then leave. Leave. And don't look back.
Same narrative.
I don't care what I say at that point. Leave and don't look back.
Observing many prominent radical ideologies and political movements that have risen to power over the years, specifically in the 20th century, we will see that one of the central components and programs by these movements was the elimination of a boogeyman. Whether it was the Jews for the Nazis or the filthy capitalists for the communists, one narrative...
This is the part where the people crying fascist are actually the real fascists, right? That's what's going on here. And also, like, the people who are hating on the Jews right now are conservatives. Like, that is unambiguously the case.
Was always clear. We, the good guys who want to help you, versus them, the bad guys who want to hurt you.
Yes.
Undoubtedly, this us versus them narrative doesn't just exist.
And guess what? If I can demonstrate that I'm helping you, then I'm not lying to you. If I can demonstrate that they're hurting you, then I'm not lying to you. Okay? You know how trans people are being hurt right now? They can't access fucking healthcare. All right? They can't get their hormones, their estrogen, or their testosterone, or their spironolactone. They can't get it. Because doctors now are being manipulated by the fucking state. Okay? Like they can't get their prescriptions. So that's a way that they're being hurt. Now, how do I want to help them? I want to say, well, make it so that the doctors can give them those prescriptions. Make it so that they can get the healthcare they need. I am very demonstrably the good guy. And the people trying to take that away from them are very demonstrably the bad guy. This is not that complex. The only reason you're trying to make it complex is to make you look like you're nuanced, when really you're probably just a fascist, man. Has anybody ever considered that this guy is really just a fascist? You know what a fascist tries to do? Convince you that they're not a fascist. I'm just saying.
Within radical ideologies, even in normal right-wing and left-wing circles,
calling everybody a fascist again.
I don't think that is necessarily bad. The difference is that...
Hey, you know what? This guy says that he like battles with lefties or whatever. Hey, come on my show. We'll see if you're actually a fascist or not. I have plenty of questions I'd love to ask you. Get to the root of it. Why not? Let's see it.
The further radical you go, whether right or left wing, you will see that the solutions and what to do with these enemies become much more extreme, and their presence and influence is vastly more exaggerated. For propaganda reasons, it's extremely effective. While most political activists share their thoughts on how to improve the country, battle crime and so forth, they sell something that goes beyond all of that. That there is a group of people who are present and powerful and want to harm you. That they are the saviors the people can trust.
They're actually actively harming people right now as we speak. So yes, that is demonstrably true.
To break their chains and defeat this enemy. And this is exactly what a prominent organization is doing, Antifa. When Antifa was first established as a movement in the early 20th century, they had an actual understandable role to play. It was the age when fascism was on the rise in Europe, and the ideology has even started taking over entire countries. And obviously, Antifa was there to combat the rise and raise awareness about fascism. Their entire purpose, as the name suggests, was to take a stand and fight fascism.
Bro knows he'd be the first to be guillotined if he ever actually got a shred of what he actually wants. I mean, he'd be the first to be reformed in my world.
But today, as I have explained, with fascism being a relatively dead ideology with no significant political power whatsoever, what is the point of them being around in the first place? And that's exactly the point. A movement whose entire existence is centered around standing against something rather than for something will never make it in the long term.
Well, if you're standing against a very powerful force, like let's say that there's a king, you know, a king, and I formed the anti-monarchy militia. That's great because you know what? You know what we're fighting for? Freedom. You can call it the Freedom Militia if you want, but the anti-monarchy militia works just as well. We're fighting against the king because he's the thing keeping us from freedom.
And in order to keep their whole gist up, they had to resort to pretending that fascism is still very much a threat.
It is.
Because what's a hero without a villain?
You still, by the way, this guy still has not defined fascism. I'm just saying.
That is why they resort to calling anything right-wing as fascist in order to give their organization a reason to still exist.
Name something right-wing that's not fascist then. I would love to hear it.
Pretending and saying that fascism is on the rise and that fascists are everywhere. And leftists accepted Antifa with open arms because they are aware how much they can use them as a propaganda tool. And naturally, people going around and seeing graffiti like fascists out, kill Nazis, and generally seeing them marching in the street might make them start believing that fascism is still very much around. We can actually see this in modern communists, for example. Communists believe that capitalism is the ultimate enemy.
Yeah, guess what conservatives do instead? They say kill pedophiles, right? Kill pedophiles. Who's a pedophile? Oh, anybody I don't like is a pedophile. But yeah, kill pedophiles. So what you're saying is kill anybody that I don't like.
That should be destroyed. And fascism to them
at least
is
kill
nothing
Nazis
more than
is pretty
branch,
fucking specific.
A tentacle of this great demon. And yet they keep using the term fascist and not capitalist. Because let's be honest, telling a random Jewish person that fascists are after you and your family is gonna sound
hold
much
on, I missed something.
Fascist and not capitalist.
You have to keep using the term fascist and not capitalist?
And
okay, capitalism is in coalition with fascism, okay? Those two are not the same thing, but they often work in tandem because the goal of capitalism is to divide and conquer, and fascism is very good at doing that. So those two work hand in hand. Just look at Elon Musk for a great example. He got the fascist brainworms, okay? Before that, he was just a capitalist. He even was like putting on a show of being left-leaning, okay? But as time went on, and the leftists got too uppity for their britches and started demanding that the rich pay their fair share. Oh, now suddenly he's a fascist. Wow, isn't that interesting? That's the point.
Fascism to them is nothing more than a branch, a tentacle of this great demon.
Yeah, kill pedophiles, but meanwhile, Trump exists.
And yet they keep using the term fascist and not capitalist. Because let's be honest, telling a random Jewish person that fascists are after you and your family is gonna sound much more threatening and serious than saying capitalists are.
But it's literally true. Have you seen the current, like, Twitter zeitgeist? Like, that place is crawling with fascism. Like, this is ridiculous. When did this video come out? From 6 months ago? Yeah, no, there's no excuse for this. Twitter was already crawling with fascism 6 months ago as well.
After you.
And that's just one example.
Having this boogeyman that is
also, I'm fairly sure that was after the whole Ye situation.
Fascism and parading it around like it's coming to kill everyone is valuable to boost their numbers and have their members and believers in this fantasy land. Now more than ever.
He's literally just running cover for fascism, by the way. He's just running cover. Okay? That's the only reason this video exists.
Since Antifa and the radical left generally started getting more and more militant in the past few years, going on this witch hunt for an enemy that is no longer a legitimate
yeah, we don't talk about this, right? Right? Kill all pedophiles, right? Which is a statement, by the way, I don't stand by. But for those who do, I'm just saying. Just interesting to think about.
Threat. Using this approach by calling all their critics and anyone who identifies themselves on the right as fascists, leftists are able to slander them easily, and the tactic they are using is nothing new. While not as successful, They took the strategies and approach by Joseph McCarthy and the way he handled the Red Scare and applied it for their own benefit, just crossing out communism with fascism. Because there is almost not—
Yeah, except fascists don't stand by their own shit. Communists do. For all their flaws, communists do. They say loudly and proudly, I am a communist, I am a communist, I am a communist. Look at me. Look at how cool of a communist I am. I'm communist. You guys want to be communist? Let's go to the communist book club. Let's go to the communist movie showing. Let's do communist things. I love communism, right? That's communists. Fascists don't do that. They fervently deny at every point that they are fascist. They have to, okay? They have to. Communists don't have to. You know why? Because communists suck at what they do. Frankly, fascists are actually much better at what they do, typically.
Non-existent opposition and pushback,
because they lie.
They were able to manipulate the term fascism and shape it in any way they saw fit.
You still haven't defined
it! They're a fascist.
There's no definition!
They don't like leftist policies, fascist.
Okay, am I wrong? Has he at any point during this video defined what fascism actually is, besides gesturing at World War II? Has he actually sat here and given us a definition of fascism? Because I did. Rewind the VOD. Or the video if you're on the YouTube video. Rewind it. At the very beginning I said it. Alright? A little bit complicated, but I gave one.
And so on. By intentionally keeping the definition as vague and simple as possible, they are able to apply it to almost anything,
pro at saying nothing.
And their followers will accept it without question. By manipulating people's fears of fascism and the horrors that came with it.
This is the Iron Man view of Stark Tower as he ascends to go and defeat the Loki's oh, I know what he's doing. He's flying up into that portal to defeat Loki's soldiers. That's what's happening right now.
They are subconsciously convincing people around them and their circles
it's an allegory for
that fascism is on the rise and that it is a genuine, real threat to their lives.
Also, these buildings are ass ugly.
Despite even themselves knowing that these things said are wrong.
Listen, guys, I'm just saying, don't worry about your cock size when your lady gets one of these, okay? Your lady can get one of these from any fucking store on the street and anymore these days, okay? Don't worry about your cock size.
Still cave in due to the social pressure and the surrounding that keeps telling them these things, and eventually they adopt it as their own without fully understanding why themselves. As I have hinted, this practice and approach isn't just limited to the left.
These buildings are so ugly!
The Red Scare is the best example of this happening to the opposite side. But objectively...
Why are we looking at office buildings, man? Again, they just look like they have USB ports on them. It's so fucking ass ugly.
These whole fascist shenanigans are the most prominent and influential in the West.
But God, are
even
they
if we say that the people advocating them are in the minority, they still have a very clear and loud voice that makes it seem like they are everywhere and much stronger, which undoubtedly leads to more people accepting their worldview.
Yeah, good point.
Even if
we literally, during this stream, for the YouTube viewers, we had a fascist on, a former fascist, all right, who's now reformed. And he clearly exists. He tried to fucking threaten people's lives. Journalists. Journalists. He had the FBI knocking down his door because he was a fascist. That happened. So clearly fascism still exists somewhere because that was not a one-off.
For the vast majority of people, this is nothing more than a stupid slander strategy. We have to understand that for the people advocating them, it is very much a truth that they accept, whether subconsciously or consciously. They live in this world where fascists are all around them at every corner.
You are
going to become a threat to them personally.
You are!
And even if we don't see the...
They're already threatening people personally, like I said. They're already making laws. Look, women can't get abortions. Like, that's insane. People can't get fucking abortions, man. That's a tenet of fascism. All right? Talking about the Great Replacement, fascism. All right? People coming in across the border are not soldiers. They're not armed. They're just here to build a better life for themselves. All right? This is not a replacement. And if you say that it is one, then you're fucking fascist.
World as black and white
and as people are saying that right now. So fascists must exist.
To see how they are being influenced to think this way, just as if they were in a cult. There are genuinely people among them
we're the ones in a cult.
Who would put their life on the line to say that Trump is a fascist. To me, this is honestly just a depressing way to view the world and your surroundings, through these black and white lenses.
Yes. In reality, where we live here, in reality, that's depressing. It is depressing. You know what? Agreed. Very good. Very good. Reality is depressing. You know why? Because people like your sorry ass are in it.
There's only fascism and anti-fascism. And for these people, I can feel nothing but pity.
Uh-huh. Totally, dude. Yeah, what's fucking Project 2025 anyway? But yeah, very silly video. It was a fun react, though. I always love reacting to these. Hey, Lavender, the offer stands. If you would like to come on and debate that, I'm open to it. If you watch this, feel free. Hit me up in the Discord DMs, email. You can see my email on my channel page. All my links are in the description, so you can find me on Discord there. Up to you, man. Up to you. Personally, I believe in freedom of speech, so you can come onto my platform and talk about why you're definitely not a fascist, and fascism definitely doesn't exist, and you're definitely not running cover for fascists. Yeah, I would love to hear it, so hit me up, man. We'll have a good talk. We'll have a good talk. Sorry, my camera's starting to drop. All right, I am going to end here in a second. I know it's only been like 3¼ hours, but this new time, I'm still getting adjusted to this new stream time, so forgive me. I'm back, had to wash my hair. I'm sorry, we're just getting ready to be done. I'll figure out, guys. I'll figure out how to get the preferred pronouns thing working on the website, because Valhalla Vidya has one, but nobody else has one yet, and I'd like you guys to be able to set it yourselves. So I'll talk to White Nervosa about it. In the meantime, Lucy Hayes is live. You know what? I haven't. Yeah, I like Lucy Hayes. Let's go over to Lucy Hayes. YouTube ID grab. Right now, Mom, I'm almost done. Calling me. There it is. Okay. All right, we're going to do a little hosty host. There we go. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. I had a great time, had a lot of fun. We got to talk to a very interesting individual who was very informative and very nice. And we got to react to stuff. So, you know, it was a good time. I had a good time. Thank you all very much for being here. Great out song. This is just going to be, I know what this is going to be. Okay, but thank you for the offer. All right, I'm gonna drop you guys off with somebody known as Lucy Hayes. I've been following them for a while. I don't really watch their content as often as I feel like I should. They only have 3 people watching right now, so let me actually link directly. They're just getting started, so I'll link directly in the YouTube chat, and you guys can bounce on over there, and then I'll be hosting it on the site. So you can also come to the site to watch. But Lucy Hayes is a trans streamer. And you guys should go show her some love. Show her some love. I believe her pronouns are she, her. If not, I apologize. Anyway, thank you guys again for being here. Love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And take care. Take care. I'll see you all later. I'll see you all on Friday. Next stream is on Friday, as always. Take care, everybody.